The walls of time are breaking down. You need to listen. The only way to save the universe. Watch Type 40.
That theme tune, the best theme tune in Doctor Who podcasts. Signals that it's time. It's almost time for the weekend, and it is bang on time for Type 40 Live, your live streamed Doctor Who show, materializing here again on the Spacebook channel, whatever time zone or time stream you're joining us from. A big old welcome. Yes, this is Type 40 Live, hitting your screen in real time for content and conversation here on YouTube and Facebook, in front of a live chat full of friends, fans, and companions just like you. And now we're in podcast form too, of course. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I am Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. I'm thrilled to be back. What a show we had last week. I think I needed about 76 hours to recover from that. We'll connect with you about that in a couple of minutes, see what you've made of it all. But thank you for all the comments that we've had afterwards. Some lovely messages too. I think you got it. Yeah, lots of likes on that one and plenty of spreading the word. So yeah, that was a Doctor Who day that I'll never forget. And I doubt whether they will either. Let's bring them on. Yes, before I bring on my companions for this show, just a quick reminder, we are streaming, as always, to YouTube and to Facebook. I have to go through this every time because we pick up every Type 40 Live, just like every Doctor Who episode is somebody's first Type 40 Live. So if you're watching over on YouTube, please remember, you've got to hit that little blue link, and then you can tell Facebook, you see, they already know who you are because you've got an account there, but they will tell StreamYard who you are, and StreamYard will tell us, and we'll get on first name terms if you want to add a comment in the live chat for us to respond to, have your say on whatever nonsense, whatever deep, meaningful topic we're going to get into on this edition of the show. And raring to go to get into it all with me, he's back. He looks, I think he's fit as a fiddle from all that clean air up. Actually, where has he been? Where have you been, Simon Horton? Where was it again, mate?
Greetings, evening to you all. I was out in deepest, darkest Oswestry, which is, for those that don't know, because I really didn't, it's just on the Welsh-English border. So I got 1 foot in Wales and 1 foot in England pretty much each day, and it was fabulous. We just really, do you know what? I've always wanted to go and stop in a cabin in the woods, and that's exactly what we did. We went and stopped in a cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere. It poured down with rain on a couple of the days, but you take it as it is, don't you? Little Lenny had a whale of a time running through the through the fallen leaves. Lots of hot soup in coffee shops. Lots of goody cake. Yeah. It was just the best. It was just brilliant.
Well, he's only got little legs as well, hasn't he, Lenny?
He's only got little legs. They're only that big. Little legs, big personality. That's what we say about little Lenny.
We say
it's good to be back anyway. Brilliant.
Was it anything like the Doctor's wood hut there from season 7?
Not entirely. I suppose there's a vague similarity in that it got doors on it. I think that's about where the similarity ends. Yeah.
I often wonder what the Doctor Who loft looks like from the outside. I would imagine it would be coated in Teflon, just in case that's. just in case the Thals launch some sort of assault on the vicinity of our mate JT.
Yes, well, it is. Took me ages with a paintbrush, I can tell you. Hello, Space Walkers. Hope you are well.
Hello,
Hope you've had a good
JT.
week. Hello. How are we all?
Good to see you. Yeah, wonderful. How about you? Have you recovered from last week yet?
No. Last week was manic, and it worked. I think it worked.
Got away with it. The channel's still up.
Thanks very much for everybody for giving us some fantastic comments about last week. It was something different for us. We were delighted to have the hooligans here from Avenue Who, and it was brilliant. And thanks to JJ and all the hooligans. But no, I have not quite yet recovered. But stay tuned.
I missed this. I'm absolutely gutted I missed this. The one week I take off. This happens.
Yeah. Well, sadly, everybody, there's no Muppets on the show. Actually, only the usual crowd of us. We're about as good as it gets this time. But yeah, just as JT said there, thanks again to JJ and everybody at Avenue Who, all of the various characters, and you will be seeing them again at some point. Actually, not in the not too distant future. If you hang around, you may well catch a look at them later on in the show. Who else is coming on? Yes, more. And she's here. Yeah, I'm happy to say we're also joined by, she's smirking at me as if to say, what's it up? Keep it clean, Hadley, says our friend Shaw.
Hi, I'm going on pure basics today. So this is a very basic camera, very basic microphone. Don't worry about where I know that's going. Can you actually hear me?
Yes.
You're fine.
Oh, that's one thing. Okay, perfect. Yeah, no Zoom calls have gone well or anything today. So
you're a bit muffled. You sound as though you're in the toilet, but apart from that, it's
perfect.
I am.
Yeah.
If we hear the crash of water, we'll avert our gaze.
It's very white. Yeah, I noticed that. It's very echoey. I'm in the kitchen because this is the only place I'm getting any sort of connection today, so I had to come here. But it's so lovely to see you all. Nice to be back. So yeah, I think I started a rumor a couple of weeks ago that you'd sacked me down. So, so I'm not.
What were the grounds? What were the grounds for dismissal, my lovely?
To take your pick, love. Anything you want, I suppose. Anything you want.
Tardiness.
Tardiness, that's probably one. Yeah. I'm working on that though. And I was actually here at 5 to. Believe it or not.
We just didn't see you. Well, welcome back. It's great to see you. Glad you're fitting well. Somebody who's not well at the moment is Charlotte Shields out there. So get well soon, Charlotte. She was a little bit sniffy last week. I gathered that it's got a firmer grasp of her this week, so she couldn't make it. She didn't want to be coughing all over us, even virtually. But get well soon, Charlotte. This is it. And in fact, let's go and check and see who's here in the live chat. Have we got a mega geek? Have we got a mega geek? Is he here? I think he is here. Sort of. He's here. Yes, Ian David Diaz.
Hello. Hello. Quiet for a second.
Back, buddy.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Returns. You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right. Who invited her?
You did.
Don't start. Leave her. Let's go. I'll just remind you, if you're getting a bit rusty on this, Ian, that people have got to like the video and subscribe to the channel and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're doing next and when we're doing it. Haven't they? Click
the buttons. Like and subscribe. Click the buttons. Like and subscribe.
Oh dear.
It reminds me of the Smash Aliens. Brilliant.
That's probably what they are.
Thanks, Daleks, I suppose. Yes, we are joined as always by a live chat full of our friends out there, friends, fans, and companions. So let's go and see what they've all got to say for themselves. Who was here first? Lord Thoth. He was here with a big hi, everyone, and a lovely seasonal thumbnail.
Hello, Lord Thoth.
Christmas is well and truly here, isn't it? Ahoy, shipmate, says Crimpling Doubloon.
Ahoy.
And got a good times there from Cyanix too. Well, we do our best. Yeah. Sarah Graham there, starry-eyed girl, says, sadly, I'm sitting this one out again. My voice is still croaky. Yet another one down, another one on the bench there with a poorly throat. It's taking us all out one by one. It's knocking us all down, but we'll get back up again in time for Christmas. I have no doubt. Good evening, day all from Peter Harrington there, hedging his bets, I think there, aren't you, Peter? Yeah. And Richard Brooks says it's 2 weeks until I break up for Christmas. It's funny you should say that, Richard, because it's 2 weeks until we break up here at Type 40 Live as well. More on that later. And what else? Who else is here? Lots and lots of people have joined us, and the chat is jumping already. Simon Ashley says... Simon, where are you? There you are. Good to see Simon back. Oh, and Lenny as well.
Yeah, he is here. He
needs his own bit, Simon. He needs his own little thing.
I know, he needs his own slot.
Little square.
He does. He's a
He
real
is here. He's fast asleep in my lap at the moment. No doubt you'll get him and show his little face in a minute.
I certainly hope so. Somebody else has shown their little face is our new friend here. This is John Brownbill, who says that this is my first podcast. I just wanted to say hi and that I got married on the 59th anniversary of Doctor Who. Congratulations to you both, John.
Brilliant. Well done, John. And welcome.
Was the date, was that coincidental, or did you aim for the Doctor Who anniversary? They say that you wouldn't forget, and the other half
was it?
Wouldn't
Maybe,
end up.
maybe it was a Doctor Who themed wedding. Maybe we need to see this.
Yeah, we're going to need to know a little bit more about that, John. Yeah, please, if you would. But yeah, I said that there's new people joining all the time. We've got more good evenings. Simon Ashley again there. I'm back, says Simon Horton.
That's
me.
Working
You've got
my
your glasses,
way
pal.
Evening all, says Paul Murray. And as always, lots of people appreciating that tune, the theme tune from Type 40 Live there from Ordered Audio. William Jennings says, hello, everyone. Everyone. Whoever, even you, Shah. Everybody.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Pex lives. And so does Avon. Avon also lives, according to TARDIS Spider. Somebody splitting their franchises there too. What else? Gareth Morgan is saying good afternoon here. It's just people joining us from all over the world and all over the Whoniverse, as always, which is what we love to see. Now, since we last spoke with the majority of us, in fact, all of us, come to think of it, there has been some of the news broke that we had been waiting on, hadn't it? And I might as well ask you all, now that you're here, what you think about it, or more to the point, what do you think about her? I'm talking about the Doctor's brand new, upcoming new assistant companion. The lovely Millie Gibson's joined the cast of Doctor Who there as Ruby Sunday for series 14 onwards.
Whoa!
Somebody likes it.
No.
Ping. That's not. It's not me. I promise
It's
you.
me. I'm getting messages from Facebook. The Facebookers are messaging me live. We're on live, guys. Give us a minute.
So yeah, well. So what do you think of this then, Shah? She's only 18, Millie Gibson. She's from the cast of Coronation Street. She was on Coronation Street for 3 or 4 years. We wondered, was it going to be an unknown? Was it going to be a name? What do you think? Who is Millie Gibson? She's somewhere in the middle. Had you heard of her?
No, but I don't watch soaps. I don't really watch a lot of television, believe it or not, even considering my fandom. But yeah, I've never heard of her, but she's only 18. That's making me feel really old. Really, really old.
Get used to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe not as old as some people.
All right, stop now.
Honestly, she seems lovely. She seems to get on really, really well with Judy. I saw the video of those two having a bit of a chin wag. And yeah, she seems to know a little bit about Doctor Who as well, so that's always nice to know.
It is nice, isn't it? How about you, JT? Because we spoke about this in the weeks leading up to this casting. You know, you'd heard something on the wind, on the breeze, and then Millie Gibson appears on Children in Need night there. When she stepped out of the TARDIS, you know, was she, generally speaking, what you were expecting? Had you heard of her before? And what are your instincts about this piece of casting?
Well, I didn't see the reveal because, of course, I don't have a television license, so I don't watch live television. I've never heard of her. at all because I don't watch television and I certainly don't watch the soaps. One of my good friends, though, does like all the soaps and is an avid watcher of all the soaps and was over the moon and ecstatic by this casting, saying she's a cracking actress with a great potential future career going ahead. And he was like, oh, they've done it again. They've done a Billy. And he was absolutely delighted that she's coming into the show. I'm so excited. And the thing is as well, I mean, there was a lot of fuss after this. I don't hold with any of this. Oh, she's only 18. She's only 18. Listen, we've had that before. Matthew was 18. Sarah Sutton was 18. We've had actors of that age in the show before. And I don't think the age is any relevance at all. No. I think it's all because she's gone in, she's auditioned, and she's nailed it. And good for her. And because I don't know anything about her, I can't really comment about her, but what I would say to her when she watches this is good luck, welcome aboard, enjoy the ride, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you give us in 2024.
JT's right, isn't he, Simon? It doesn't really matter what age they are. She's been acting quite a while. I mean, what are your instincts about this? Have you seen these promotional clips they've put out and the reveal videos on YouTube and things? Because she's spoken a little bit already.
No, I have to be honest. I haven't seen anything apart from I did see the reveal. I didn't tune in for it on this specific time. I couldn't bring myself to sit through a 5-hour marathon of children.
Couldn't you? Couldn't you really?
With more newscasters singing more songs from the shows. No. My life is too short for that. But
it doesn't suppose we do that anymore, Simon. That's when they were classy.
Was it? I don't know. Anyway, so I did watch it back on catch up just purely to see it. I've never heard of her, obviously, but that's not going to be any surprise to anybody because, again, I don't watch the soaps. And I have to be honest, I think it was probably me. I think I did say a few weeks ago, I don't mind who the companion is, as long as it isn't somebody from Coronation Street. Whoops. But, you know, there you go. The one thing I would say is she seemed enormously likable on the children in Nietzsche. When she popped out the TARDIS, she just seemed like a really, really nice person. She seemed genuinely chuffed and excited to be there. A really good personality. Haven't got a clue what she's like at acting, but my first instincts on seeing her as a personality were just great. I just thought she was lovely. She brought the screen to life. She held her own against that awful Mel Giedroyc or whatever her name is.
The embarrassing auntie routine that she always does.
The whole thing actually felt somewhat embarrassing. It was like they didn't really know what to do. We've got this Doctor Who star, this future Doctor Who star here coming out the TARDIS, but it all seemed so amateurish, so under-rehearsed. They hadn't got a clue what they were talking about. They didn't know what questions were going to... So it was just painfully embarrassing, I thought. And she held her own even through that.
Yes,
her first time stepping out that TARDIS. Bring it on. I really liked her. That's all I'll say. Really liked her.
She just seems really natural and really genuine, doesn't she? And I hadn't seen. Obviously I don't watch the soaps either. I've never really watched Coronation Street, but I was able to go directly to YouTube. That's the beauty of the modern age. I went straight to YouTube, typed in Millie Gibson show, and I got to see some of her greatest hits. Some of these moments from these big, dramatic, very soapy moments where she was being tried for murder. She'd only been on the show for 3 years. It seemed like the girl.
I'm going to have to go and find those. Definitely, I didn't even thought to do that. What a good idea.
As ridiculous as it all was, I only spent about 20 minutes watching these clips. It was very intense and very ridiculous, but I did get a kind of rounded feel for what this woman could do. And then I think within about 12, 15 hours, we got a great video of her with Shooty. Yeah. They were doing a sort of Q&A, weren't they? And there was so much warmth and chemistry between the two of them already. They've obviously been working together for a couple of months, off and on. The auditions were in September. And I just got this this wonderful sort of big brother feeling about it, that she looked up to him as a kind of big brother figure. And he was just enjoying being in her company. And it was just so nice. And it's such a positive sign for the future.
It's just as well because they're going to be stuck together for 11 months, isn't it? I mean,
they do look good though, don't they? They do seem to have
they do look good together. Yeah, they do look good together.
Work very well together.
Vote of confidence here, Ian, from Cybermat Strikes. This is Bing Bong. Millie will be great. But what do you think?
Bing Bong.
I don't watch Coronation Street. I don't watch any of the soaps, just like JT and Shah. I don't know what to think. I mean, she looks okay physically. I haven't seen anything with her. I do believe there's something on Twitter where they have a conversation or something like that. Somebody told me.
That's right, yeah.
But I can't really. How can you comment on something that you don't know about? So I don't know anything. So hopefully she'll be good. And
the thing is, Mega Geeky, we're going to be surprised, aren't we, when it comes to Christmas Day next year, and she walks on screen as Ruby. We're all going to be surprised, and then we can. That's the beauty of this.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah.
And the truth of it is, of course, all of this rests on the writing. It rests on the characterization that she's given, the lines that she's given, the directors that she gets. That's what it comes down to. But more crucially, it's the line and the lines rather, and the characterization.
I do like her name though. Is it Ruby Sunday or something like that?
Yeah,
Ruby Sunday.
I think it's a really good name. It's a really good.
It's a shame in a sense because they've gone predictable. I mean, she's a modern character again. She's a student and a part-time shop girl, which is. I mean, we've been there, haven't we? We've done that.
Yeah, he's playing the greatest hits, isn't he? JT's playing his greatest hits again. So we'll see.
We have, but on the other hand, unfortunately, the reality of the situation is, Dave, this is the second reboot of the show. Rather than, I'm amazed that they're not renumbering it as Series 1. In fact, I think it's still possible that they will, because it's technically it's going to be a brand new production.
What's going on? Yeah.
I don't think they will, because I've got this strange feeling in a few years' time they'll be going, look, we've got 20 years of this version of the show. Woo, aren't we marvelous? Aren't we wonderful? Isn't it marvelous? Isn't it wonderful? I'm sure that's where they'll go. 20 years of the reboot version. I'm sure that's where they'll go. And it's wonderful. It's marvelous. It's marvelous. It's wonderful.
Wendology. Our friend Wendy says, I've got a good feeling about this. Time will tell. And Charlotte's here. Charlotte Shields says Corrie watchers love her, and I can imagine they probably have, Ian, because I suppose that's a lot of the appeal of soaps, isn't it? Particularly people who've been in it for a few years. The children, she would have been in it when she was 13, 14. People have watched her grow up on that show, and they feel parental towards her and protective towards her, don't they? That's how it works.
I don't know. It just seems like, as JT says, why does it have to be someone from today? Why can't it be like, I don't know, someone from the future or something like that, or from the past or something different. But it looks like he's, as I said, Artie's playing the greatest hits again for some reason. So, but anyway, let's see. It's hard for us to judge when we haven't seen it yet. So let's hope for the best.
I suppose it's that thinking where they like the audience to have somebody relatable. I mean, we are assuming that there is only, at this point, we're assuming there's one companion. We have heard differently. We have heard that somebody was approached months ago, and I assume that would be a name to possibly do
I turned it down.
Captain Jack or something like that character. So we'll have to see what happens in the series. But I've got a feeling there might be somebody else coming in.
Yeah,
as long as she can do the job, that's all I care about, says John Brownbill there. I mean, the way I look at it is, you get a feel for it's not so much with the Doctor, because I think Shah, that has somebody, when they come to a part like the Doctor, so much of it is made up of their own personality to bring into a part, which is I wouldn't say bland, but the Doctor is the Doctor, and it gets sort of fleshed out by somebody's personality. Whereas this is a character that, in this case, Millie is originating. But if somebody has to have a natural energy, don't they, that we can pick up on, and when they shove this poor girl out onto the stage at Children in Need, she's sort of there for millions to see, and just to see if we like that energy, if we can connect with that, we can relate to that. I think that's why I'm looking at this as some sort of barometer for where it may go. I mean, they may have written the character, for all we know, Ruby may be a complete cow, but I think it's unlikely.
I don't think so. I've noticed Starry said something there in the chat that she's getting Joe Grant vibes. Starry, I did as well when I saw her. I was sort of like, oh, it's another little Katie. And that, what a mixed opportunity to have her coming from the 70s. I'd love the 70s again now. We're so far away from the 1970s. I'd love a 1970s companion coming in.
Or the 80s. That'd be cool as well. Actually, everybody's doing the 80s, aren't they?
Slit their eyebrow, though. It could be the 90s. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'd love the 70s with the flares and the lack of technology, and being able to come into the modern day and go, what the hell is this? And that'd be quite fun.
Yeah. Giggle. Carol Jude says she has a thoughtful face. Sort of like Clara, looks clever, like someone who can banter. She does. I think one of the very few things that we have heard said is Shooty has described her as quite sharp. It's interesting that he uses those words, because I get the impression he said that within the same breath of saying she is the companion, she is Ruby. So
he has to say that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Does he? I think they have to. We can't say anything bad, but I think
exactly.
People, but that's quite a precise. He's not come on and said she's the best actress ever in the world, ever. But to say, she's very sharp, fits in perfectly with the character. Because not all the Doctor Who characters and companions are written in exactly that way, are they? We've got another look at her here. She's embracing both the classic and the new Doctor Who here on Children in Need Night with the two Pudsies there. But of course, this being 2022, there's always a photo opportunity and an opportunity for social media accounts to cross over to. So we got this message from the official Coronation Street account, and they just say, reply to the BBC Doctor Who account to take good care of her there. So that's quite nice. I mean, it's nonsense in some respects, but this is the kind of thing that comes.
I think that's nice. The banter between the series. I mean, you're looking at the two longest running shows on British telly.
I do. I love this comment in the chat from Woodhouse122. Last time I watched Corrie, Marco Polo got run over by a tram in Blackpool. I'm about with you on that, Woodhouse122. You're talking about Mark Eden, who was Marco Polo in the 60s. And apparently, according to Crippling Doubloon, the tram has just been saved. He's going to go to a museum, probably because he nearly ran over Marco Polo.
Did they fish him out from under it? I hope.
That was the last time I watched it. I can still remember Rita running down the street with her hair all wild. And
I remember part of the fun of going to Blackpool was reenacting that going up, bouncing up the. Oh, we get in trouble. It was like when you used to go to Brighton and you'd reenact that famous scene with Bette Gilroy where she's coming off the pier and she goes, "Vicky," looks for Mark. "Vicky, love." Love it.
Etched into his memory there. Charlotte says the energy of those two already feels just right. Paul Murray says thinks she's going to be great. It's going to be another golden era. So that's a big vote of confidence there. They're from Paul. Gareth Morgan says she looks like a fusion of Rose, Billy Piper, and Clara, doesn't she? Does she? I don't know. Maybe she does.
She's going to be her own thing, and we'll let her be her own thing, really. Because brand new era reboot, like Dan says, brand new characters. Russell's coming out with a different take. So I hope there's not too many, and I hope she's not another Clara. Sorry, I didn't like Clara.
I wouldn't stand Clara either. No.
And it's a shame, and this is what worries me, because of course the actress is really good, but Clara I thought was just an awful character, and this is of course where we're talking about you've got to get the character. It doesn't matter how good your actor is, you've got to get the characterization right.
Got to be right. People have got to feel it. Carol Jude says with a name like Ruby Sunday, we're definitely going to meet her family. I think it's
I don't
more.
Want to.
I don't want to either. I'm with him. I don't want to knock it off.
I don't necessarily feel, Shah, that I need to meet her family, but I'm of the school of thought that I actually I'd like to see maybe some of her friends or somebody or something from her everyday life. I think that would be nice.
You know what would be really nice is that if she didn't want to go with the Doctor and for some circumstance she was stuck with the Doctor, that would be really nice, because every companion so far it's like, oh, do you want to come with me? It's going to be dangerous. You might die. Yeah, okay, I'll come with you. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't want that, Ian, because we've had that before. Really? We had that with, let's have a look. Well, we had it with Adric, Turlo, Tegan.
Adric was an idiot. Tegan was stuck.
I want somebody that's going to go off with the Doctor now and not give a toss about going home, because she knows she can go back in time. And if the story allows us, the character progresses. I want them having adventures. I want them running through time and space and forgetting all the real day stuff.
Do you think RT
I think it's important to embrace the adventure.
Do you think that?
Sorry, John?
Do you think RT is playing his greatest hits? Do you reckon he's just doing the same things he did last time? I
think he's got the foundations, because an awful lot of it's very similar to what we knew in 2004. Yeah, I was replaying. So I think he's got the foundations there, because why change that format? Because it worked. Yeah. So all the essentials are there. A Doctor in place, a companion in place, the Saturday nights in place, the March start in place, the Christmas specials are in place.
Christmas special.
why fix that formula and change that formula? Because they know it's going to work. What we do know, though, and what we're not sure what's going to come back, is the impact of his writing. Because he has said, I'm not going to repeat myself in a writing.
Changed. He's a changed man.
He's old, though.
We're joined by Vanessa Law in the chat, who says that Russell T Davies loves the casuals. They mostly bore me. Casual clothes?
People like the casuals, the mods, and everything like that. Does she mean the casuals?
Or does she mean the family hang-ons? I don't know.
No.
We need
Vanessa,
more clarification, please, Vanessa.
Casual jeans?
Casual we probably agree with you. We just want to know what we're agreeing
Casual
with.
show.
Cliff Maxwell adds, I personally feel like her youth stepping into this 60-year-old show will be a spark. A spark.
Let's hoping it doesn't blow up the show.
Well,
there's dynamite there.
She's now sporting a brand new haircut. So she's also a social media user. Like she's put this up on Instagram. She's been and had a snip, not the snip, just had a snip. And I think she looks a little bit like Margot Robbie there. There's something about the eyes.
Faceless gone.
That's a nice haircut, though. It suits. I mean, they are filming. they've started
just started,
haven't they? So so that must be the look for the character. It's quite nice. It makes it look a little bit older, though, as well, doesn't it? So I quite like that.
Yeah, it does. RTD is doing what he has to do to get the general audience back, and it's really that simple. Just like the Darren Zone says, isn't it, Simon?
Absolutely. Got to do it. You know, we have said this before now. That's exactly what he's got to do, is bring the regular viewers back.
Bring us back. Bring us back.
Yeah.
Peter Harrington's pitching a story here. The TARDIS is in a police museum. That would be a cracking way to start and enter that way.
Yeah, it would actually. That's quite
I quite like that as well, yeah.
Yeah, they've never done that. That's very strange, isn't it, Pete?
No, it's kind of missed opportunity, isn't it? Why has nobody ever... Peter, write to Russell.
And we have an answer. We were nosily peered into John Brown. More information about his nuptials, that he got married on the 59th anniversary of Doctor Who, and he's replied that we set it for that date. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I even created my own incarnation of the Doctor. Ian, who would do something like that, Ian?
Hey, what?
Who would do something like that? Can you imagine?
Yeah,
yes.
Who would?
There's a lot of fans. No disrespect. There's a lot of fans that have done that. But if anybody I was getting married to turned up or something like that, I'd run.
Really? Well, we know. Me and Dan know Wendy, and Wendy got married because of Doctor Who. Because her husband was a huge fan of Doctor Who, and they crossed the sea. She was from America, he was from England, and they met, and then they got married. If it wasn't for Doctor Who, so Doctor Who, it's a
it has brought lots of people together.
Simon.
My very first job in television was a programme about a couple having a Doctor Who wedding. Hello, Keith, if you are out there. I know he is still out there. So there you go. We filmed it down in Llangollen, in deepest, darkest Wales, where I went last week by the bizarrest of coincidences.
Oh, really?
Why don't you just drop it in?
The museum's
yeah, they've all gone now. So that's clarifying there that she means the families when she says the casual. So the casual.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we agree.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I think they're essential, but I think some sort of fleshing out of who the supporting cast are or were via other characters that are in, or for example, their professional life. Yaz, for example, in the Chris Chibnall era, we saw her in her professional life very, very briefly, and we met her family very, very briefly. And it was sort of split a little bit between the two, but because he never explored any of them in any real whole way, it was largely way. He may as well have not done either of them.
The thing is, though, it's the writing, isn't it? Sorry,
but I think if you pick one, Ian, and through because obviously the week-to-week adventuring is far, far more important than any of that. Yeah. But the more that we know those characters, know what makes them tick and what's grown.
But the difference between that and the way Russell introduced the first episode, his writing was so really good. As I said, within minutes, you knew who Rose was. Within seconds, you know who the mother was. Do you know what I mean? With the things that he made them do, you knew who they were. Yeah, so here's hoping he does the same this time round. Sorry,
I just didn't want to know. I'm sorry. Just because it moves into soap opera Hollyoaks kind of territory for me. I just don't want to know.
I don't know. I think it works.
Guns. That's what I want to see.
It works beautifully. it worked. It did work beautifully.
I think it
but I
did.
wouldn't necessarily want to see it done
Do it
again.
again, yeah.
I think again. I think if to explore somebody's if they've left behind their working life or her studies.
Yeah.
The way that, for example, Bill was, Bill
she's
was
gay,
working
right?
in the canteen. Apparently, she doesn't like to mention it though.
She doesn't mention it.
Bill was working in the canteen. The doctor got her onto a degree course. I like that, and yet they never really returned to that. And I thought that was a big shame.
Sorry,
I really
mate.
like that character.
That's the whole thing about building this all. Oh, I mean, you don't need to do it now because the audience is aware of Doctor Who, and yes, it's a lot of them have left, but they're aware of it now, and you don't need to do that. With Rose, they had to sort of do that element to show this is the show as it fits in just now. Although it did go on all the time, to continue it for every single person that came through from Rose onwards was just boring. You don't need to now. Let us just have a big adventure in the first episode. Off they go, bang, that's it.
Off into time and space.
Like, even though it's about a random mum and about a leaf that, quite frankly, I don't know how they kept that leaf alive. As long as they did, it could have just crumbled.
Put it in the book.
This leaf that died a long time ago.
Yeah, you're talking about Clara, aren't you? Clara's
I am.
backstory
Yeah,
and all
not
that.
like
Yeah, it's a bit silly. Yeah.
Put the book in the fridge and hope for the best. Tony L says Millie was ace in Corrie, and her experience of the demands of doing a soap will help the workload of Doctor Who. And the attention and criticism she might get with Doctor. That's a really good point, actually, Tony.
By default, it makes you a better actor.
Yeah, it's like you said, isn't it, JT? Yeah, when JT said that these are the two oldest shows on British TV, they're probably two of the biggest machines, aren't they? Coronation Street is probably, I know there are other soaps still going, Emmerdale, EastEnders still going, but Coronation Street feels like it's kind of the last man standing almost, that's still relevant, that people still watch in any great number.
Oh, the Emmerdale people won't like you for that. You've been in trouble with the Emmerdale lot.
Sorry, Emmerdalers. Sorry. Yes, so obviously it's not about the companions, though. I'm glad to see another one added to the ranks. It's all about the Doctors, and we are in the David Tennant era now. This is the second David Tennant era. I think all is kind of right with the Whooniverse, certainly for the time being.
Tell me about this. Just today I was realizing this. David Tennant now goes down in that unique club of actors that appeared in Doctor Who before they played the Doctor.
I like it. So they released this new piece of publicity artwork, didn't they, on the 59th anniversary there, with the 14th Doctor stood legs akimbo. That's what they call manspreading, I think, Shah. We're told that's a bad thing, aren't we? But
I dread to think. I have no idea.
But that sets the tone. That sets the tone. Now we're heading into the 60th anniversary year, making a big statement. There he is. I mean, these pictures are difficult enough to put
It's from
together.
BBC.
It's best to examine it. It's best not to examine it too closely, and you might be wondering why Joe Martin's so
Yes, I was about to say that.
It's shocking, isn't it? I don't like it at all. I think it's predictable nonsense. Sorry, Lee, but I do. I think it's predictable nonsense.
But the 14th Doctor does look the part, in my view, and I think this sets the tone quite nicely for the anniversary year forward. So the 14th Doctor sort of meets the fandom, and we meet him. Some of us more literally than others, Shah. She's you know where I'm going with this. So, yes, Shah and Ian, you've been out and about. We haven't seen you for a few weeks, but you two did get together, didn't you, quite recently? Where did you meet up? What were you doing and why?
Briefly.
I don't
know about meeting. I dragged Ian into a queue line with me and made him wait with me.
Why?
Because I was really, I don't know why, but I was really nervous. I'm actually very, very shy if I don't.
Right, right. And I'm Doctor Who.
Yeah. Where was this? Where was this?
Where was it? London
at Comic-Con. London Winter Comic-Con, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
So where is this event held?
Olympia.
London.
It's Olympia.
Yeah.
You know what, right? I was disappointed because I've been to other Comic Cons before, and usually you could see the stars, just on the table or something like that. Yeah. But they deliberately went out of the way to create a box so you couldn't see anyone. And that I was so like a box that they were inside a box, so no one could see them. So I was a bit upset about that. Yeah.
I did see Colin Baker though, and I did see Sylvester McCoy and met them both.
And Frank Skinner. You saw Frank Skinner, didn't you?
I did meet Frank Skinner just randomly.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of sour grapes here on Ian's part, because I hear that you fell somewhat foul of their militant security while you were there.
Yes, I got hit by Iron Man. he was telling me to move along.
It was like, so he was like, I'm here. I was like, great. What am I supposed to get from that?
Shah was like, where shall we meet? I said, let's meet next to Iron Man. And then Iron Man slapped me. So there you go.
But it was, you went predominantly to get some items out of your bucket list, didn't you, Shah? There was certain actors that you wanted to meet.
Yes. I didn't meet them, but I didn't get photos with them all, which is really, really upsetting because they wouldn't allow me.
Okay.
Colin Baker was up for it, but then there was one where I was just flagging by the end of it because I'd been all day on Saturday and all day on Sunday as well.
So who did you get photos with, and who didn't you get photos with?
I got photos with David Tennant and Matt Smith. Very, very nice that was.
Did they charge you?
Of course
they did.
Yeah, of course they did.
Shocking.
But I did meet Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy. Didn't get photos with them, but met them.
Oh.
Well, as in bumped into them, or
bumped into them, yeah.
Into them.
Colin was completely by mistake. I just turned a corner.
That's how I used to meet the people that I met.
Yeah, that's funny how you used to meet them before you had to pay a.
And did you say hello? Did you say hello to them both?
I did. I said hello to Colin. What did I say to her? I can't even remember now. It feels like a little bit of a blur. But I said hello anyway, and he said hello back. And I just said, I said something like about his day, because it was really, really long. He'd had a really long day. And he just went, oh, between you and I, I'm bloody exhausted. Well, fair enough. Just ruined that for me. And then Sylvester McCoy was very, very sweet. I can't do his accent, so I won't even try, even though my granddad would be furious at not being able to do a Scottish accent. But he was very, very lovely too, and very, very tiny. He's so small. Very, very cute. But yeah, he's all right.
Peter Harrington says 4 doctors on one day. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Do you want to see a photo? There's one here.
There we go.
We've got one photo here. Do you want me to put this one up so people can see?
It won't be the one that I've got, I don't think, because I'm not showing anyone this one.
Oh, okay. Let's get you up big, and you can reveal all.
Get me up big.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, can I just say, I don't know what these lines are. I'm no good with technology, but I'm giving.
It looks like you've been teleported out. It looks like you've been teleported.
Go on.
Yeah, so I'm giving master vibes. So this one's my favourite. Well, actually, can you see what's on my top? I don't think you can.
Yeah, straight
out of Gallifrey.
Straight out of Gallifrey.
Yeah.
All the adults got the reference. None of the kids did, though. It's probably a good thing. And then you've probably seen this one if you do follow me on any of my social media. There's me.
You there with the 14th Doctor, David Tennant?
Can you manage to get any closer together? I mean, you know that.
My mum, I don't remember.
Good old embrace.
Oh no.
How much did they charge for these things?
I wouldn't. The only reason I don't want to say live, JT, is just because I don't want to speak about.
You don't want to say live.
Yeah, of course.
Climate, if that makes sense.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
I should say, this is very much. It's very much why you went, though, wasn't it? It was what you were there for.
Yeah, and it's worth it. It's worth the fact that I managed to meet them and I wanted to meet them. That was it, really.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it completely.
Don't meet the heroes, because me and Matt have fallen out of love, and I'm really blimey.
Now as well.
So
what did Matt say to you? Did he say get out after your 1 minute or less than 1 minute?
No,
30 seconds.
I actually had a longer time, but can I just say, Matt Smith is one of the most sweetest, kindest men I've ever met. And do you mind me telling a tiny little story? I'm sorry, I won't go on, I promise. So there were 2 kids in front of me, and one little girl dressed as Jodie Whittaker, one little lad dressed as Matt Smith. Anyway, so walked it. Oh yeah, the girl was really cute, but she had some learning difficulties, and her mum was saying she's not very good with meeting people that she doesn't know and hasn't spoken to. So the lad goes in. I'll tell you about him in a sec. But this little girl goes in first, and he crouches down. And he goes, "Hello there, like, how are you doing?" And she was talking to him. He made her feel so relaxed, because at the start she was really nervous and didn't want to go up to him. So he crouched down and he was like, "It's okay." He was like, I'm the doctor. I can help you. And her face just lit up completely and was having a good old chinwag with him. Her mum, understandably, was really, really tearful as well. And he took time as well. Like it wasn't like a minute go in, go out. He will talk to you. So that was that. And he was just, he was so lovely and kind with her. And made sure that he even didn't mind using the wrong screwdriver with it because she was so pleased. She was only 4, bless her. What a nice memories for her. And then the lad that was before me was a chatting completely different. Had a fez on, had 2 of his screwdrivers so that Matt could use one as well. But he said, and he came with loads of pictures, and he said, I've got these pictures. I've drew this one for you. He said, that's really, really lovely. Thank you so much. We're having a chat, signed his fez because he was wearing the fez. Here's the screwdrivers. Anyway, and he said, is this an actual present for me, or do you want me to sign it? He said, that's for you. I've got 2 more for you to sign. And someone in there said, oh, no, unfortunately, we can't do that because how else do they make their money with the autographs, right?
Okay.
So Matt went, oh, no, we absolutely can. Turned to everyone else in the room and just went, we're going to have to hold fire. He wants these things signed. He's going to get them signed. And his mum was, and the kid's mum was just like bawling, which was, like I say, it's totally understandable. The kid said it was the best day of his life. And it was just those little things
dead yet.
Mean everything. So I was, even though I didn't have an extended conversation with him, because you can't really, to know that someone's like that is just the best.
Yeah, on the one hand, that just seems a really nice little story. On the
Very
other hand,
sweet.
it just highlights to me why this charging is just so horrendous. Because actually, there might be people further back who think, well, hold on, actually, I'd like my thing signing, and he's not going to sign mine because I'm not a cute little kid. It's just, it's very uncomfortable.
I think he would have done it anyway.
I think another thing.
Sorry. He would have done it anyway. So I don't doubt that for a second. But it makes you wonder who it is that's actually in charge of charging this extortionate fee.
Yeah. It is the people who put on. It is the people who put on the events, as I understand it. I mean, obviously,
another thing.
Some of them.
Another thing that and when you go to these things, you suddenly realise how big Doctor Who really is. I mean, we have an idea of how big it is, but when you see the fandom and you see the people queuing up, and even halfway through the day, Jodie Whittaker was in one box, and it was like, it wasn't a box, it was like a huge room, but you couldn't see anything because everything was all, but you can hear people screaming and shouting and laughing and stuff like that. So even though we don't like that era, right, there are still fans that appreciate it. And everywhere you go, there are people dressed like Doctor Who. Everywhere you go, there were men dressed like Jodie. It was just a bit weird. But I'm just saying that when you go to things like that, suddenly you realise how big Doctor Who really is. And
there was a big queue for Jodie. I'm not even going to lie to you.
There was
huge.
It
was massive. And I even did hover because I met a guy there from the Saturday who said my aim is just to get one with all of the doctors, but I can't justify that money for a doctor that I'm not that fond of. But I was hovering over the button. I'll be honest. So
swept up in the moment there. Well, every single Jodie Whittaker fan in the world flew in for that, so that's probably why there was.
It was, but even the kids, the young girls, like that was quite nice. But you see your girls dressed up as David Tennant and Matt Smith, that's wonderful. Like,
who's always been like that. I mean, we've always had females in the fandom since I was a kid. They've always been there. So this whole fuss now about all females coming into it's not true because they've always been there.
Not true,
but it's not the fans though. It's the media and it's this crazy people.
There is an element of fandom that have done that since that announcement back then as well. They have gone through that whole extreme feminist nonsense.
Lots of the role model for boys and all that. So the Doctor wasn't a role model to me when I was a kid. Like,
exactly.
I mean, I don't like all this charging stuff either, and I think it's not just the people that run the events. They have very good agents, these actors. And when you look at it, they are making their pension through this more so than they ever did when we were originating the conventions and putting on conventions. And it's our generation that made these conventions the manic that they are today. And of course, back in our day, they were much better. They were much more wholesome. You had access to, I had breakfast with lots of things, dinner with people, because that's how we used to do it. Now you probably end up spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds to get onto a table and having your cornflakes with something.
Oh, I dread to think.
Awful.
I honestly dread to think how much it would be.
Do you know?
Well, we do have here a video as well. Just spoiling, so we've got a video here to look at too. So this talking
I'm
about
going. I know exactly
Lord
what this
Thoth
is.
says. Lord Thoth here says there is nothing like that big smile on the face of a child. But
Yeah, there you go.
You're not a child. I'd say smile on you. A smile on your face
What's
here.
happening here? What's going here?
Hey, what was your experience like, young lady? Oh dear, oh dear.
Oh, hang on a minute. So, are these boxes where the green screens are or something?
Yeah, this is where the box.
So inside that is a green screen. Is that why
Yes,
you've got the box,
yeah,
Ian?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I see. So each one's a green screen. Right, I see. I suppose that's for lighting and stuff. Then, isn't it?
Yeah,
My
it was
favourite
really
bit of
long.
that clip is the woman standing directly on the right there as you come out, shot. She looks so unimpressed.
You even got it in slow mo.
Yeah,
Do it again,
she's-
Dan. Do
I'll
it
be honest,
again.
I
Play
thought
it again.
was the one
Play
with
it
Dalek.
again.
I thought that's what video it was. So I was okay. So there's this Dalek. Turns out I'm not
Yeah.
trying
Oh,
to
yeah.
Dalek. The ones at the Who shop are just a little bit smaller. There was a Dalek there, and I went up and posed with it because that's just what you do.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, I don't know if you've got a video. I think you just got. a bit
No,
of
I
action
didn't video. I
like
took
got
pictures
it.
though. I didn't video
And
it.
it decided that it was going to completely move, unbeknownst
Turn
to
its
me,
eye.
swing its eye at me. I had to duck, and then I went, "Oh, me being really stupid and dense, just went, oh, I'm really, really sorry." Like I said, look, you just scared me. It was like, you should be scared.
Yeah.
Oh, stupid of me. I went, I'm so sorry. I didn't realise you were alive. Oh my God,
Was
I'm
this
so
your first
amazing.
convention, Char?
Pardon?
Was this your first convention?
My first ever. Yeah, I was really
Right,
excited.
okay, that
Can you
explains
tell?
what's going on.
Bless her heart.
But even the Dalek went in to get the signature from David Tennant. Didn't
I
it?
saw
Yeah,
a video of a
yeah.
Dalek
Yeah.
getting signed. Yeah.
That's
Wendy says it would be nice to hear that at least part of the money charged went to a charity. Do these events, do they support any charities though, Simon?
I don't think so. Not that I'm
It-
aware
it's-
of.
No,
It's
I'd be
understandable the
surprised.
old doctors may be making money, but not David Tennant or Matt Smith, because they make a crap load of money now anyway. So why they anyway? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway,
It is true, as Vanessa says, they have the transportation costs. There are costs incurred, of course there are. This is an industry.
The actors don't pay that, Vanessa. The actors get paid to go. And
Yeah,
then they're
they do.
earning at their own products, so they're earning at this is work to them. The expenses get paid by the venue hosts. So if somebody's traveling by train or that's paid for by the venue hosts. So
But
not
I think,
the
I
actors.
think, I mean, I don't know how these things are organised, but I seem to remember hearing a while ago that actually I don't think the actors or the production crew, if they're signing as well, I don't think these days they get paid a fee. They might get their expenses paid. They don't get paid a fee to be there. And so that's why they then charge, I think, for the autographs. So the problem is it's just a huge money-making thing because the organisers are just making their money on the door from you paying your fee to go in. And then the actors are just making a fortune from it just leaves a
And
really
then
bad
not people
taste.
like me will pay it, but I'm so glad I did.
Oh, brilliant. I'm really pleased.
Yeah, I'm happy for you too.
You know, I'm made up for you, but it just...
But I get it, yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, I understand.
I think it's absolutely shocking. And I hate to think what's going to happen in the 60th anniversary year with the proposed plans that are going there. I certainly will not pay more than £100 because you have to get to London. And that's £200. You know, and then you've got to pay a hotel, which you're looking at £400 or £500 with the way that hotel and the hospitality prices are just now. The bigger picture here is it's shocking. I don't hold with it. I don't like it.
Retro Doc Gary Akers in the live chat on YouTube says it's so great that Shah had a great con experience, plus her own completely free private videographer there. Mega Geek.
The check's in the post, apparently.
Mr. Trick there, and Gareth Morgan. Gareth Morgan says, so, and I'm going to mention this because he's posted it God knows how many times. Hi, Gareth. Says Sylvester McCoy was terrific in Rob Zombie.
He was good.
Monsters.
Didn't know he was in it.
I thought he was quite good in that as well. I did. Keith Bradbury, hi Keith. Keith, the star of the guest on the latest edition of the Type 40 podcast. If you want a cheaper convention, don't bring guests. David Tennant is like 100,000 a day.
I'm sure he's not. Sure he's not. Can't be. That can't be.
I know it was 100,000 an episode when he was in Doctor Who last time, but I don't know about that.
Well, he is very, very expensive. I mean, well, we won't go into that because that's his personal fee with his agent to negotiate. But Keith, there, of course, in the Who NA episode with Keith that we've just dropped on the channel, he made a very valid point by saying there is now no point in the merchandisers going to these conventions, which I get completely, because everybody's paying to get in the door, paying for their actors for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 autographs, possibly more photographs on top of the autograph, so they won't buy the merchandise. So actually, that whole format of being able to get to know your merchandise people, your shops and that's all going to go, because I totally get why they wouldn't go to it now, because they've got to pay for their stall, pay to get there, get all that back, and then they're not going to make any money when they get there, and they're losing productivity.
And it just seems such a shame, going back to those old conventions that you and I were going to, JT, in the 70s and 80s. And the truth of it is, everybody that was there, and I'm talking about the actors, John Pertwee, Peter Davison, Tom Baker, all the competitors, so many people would turn up. And let's be honest, they were all there because they wanted to be there, because they weren't being paid anything in those days, as I understand. And it just seems such a shame that why can we not get back to that, where actors...
Maybe it's something...
They get paid a lot of money, as you said, for their jobs. I mean, the other reason that they went in the old days, because Simon's absolutely right, and we had a ball, didn't we, Simon? All these I mean, that's how you met each other as well, and you met... But I mean, you got to meet.
It wouldn't be fair to describe them as cheap and cheerful, because a hell of a lot of effort, organisation went into them, and they were often at some of the nicest hotels. Without being at the Bleeding Dorchester or somewhere like that, some of the nicest hotels in the average British city. So they weren't cheap and cheerful affairs at all, but they were very tactile. They were very.
I remember paying £5 for a Dwas one in Liverpool, where I first met Sophie Aldred, and that was a great one because we were celebrating the 1989 season in 1990, and I've still got the pictures from that. And Sally Knivette, is that how I say it? Knivette? She was there. She was lovely, and that was a £5, and that was fine. But everything else was free inside it. But the other reason that these people went, as well as wanting to go and meet the people that watched their show and appreciated their work, was because there was a bar, and that's where we got to know them all, and we got many of them.
I had to pay £2.50 to talk to Peter Davison. Then again, I was working with him, so I said, "Do you want a drink?" It's like,
Simon Ashley says, "All I will say is I might have broke the bank a bit at the London Film Comic Con. I met David Tennant, Jodie Whittaker, and Matt Smith. Well, glad you had a good time there, Simon."
My niece bumped into Jodie Whittaker. Apparently, she told me as she was coming out of the loo.
Oh God! Did she sleep okay that night?
I don't think she did, actually.
No.
We had Jodie Whittaker on the show last week, Ian. You missed it.
Right. Yeah. I saw it. JT, I saw it.
Funny. Okay, and another great thing about these cons, of course, in the modern age in particular, is that it is a home, very much a forum for people and a playground for them to test out, to show off their cosplays, isn't it? And thank you to the two people there, the Doctor and his companion, who provided our intro on this edition of the show. That's lots of fun. If you are out there, get in touch and let us know who you are, because I love that clip.
Yeah, I didn't get their names. It's a shame.
Oh, I knew you're a director.
Ian David.
I should have got them to sign something.
I also want to say,
as well, sign this disclaimer so we can use your stuff and you can't charge us. Yes.
I also want to give a shout out as well to Michael Devoren. I'm probably butchering that name. Sorry, Michael. I want to say hello to Michael, who sent us these pictures of himself in cosplay here as the Fifth Doctor. Here, way back. I'm not sure when this was, Michael. But he's got quite an authentic look there, I believe. He's got the
trousers are wrong.
The jacket is excellent.
It's the season 21 trousers. Michael, are you in the chat? Michael is known as Java Bean.
Oh, is that John?
That's Java
He was around earlier on. Yeah, I think that's really, really nice. So thank you for that.
Very, very cool.
And if you get
JB.
And I love the fact he's got the season 21 shirt that's got the green trim inside as well as the red collar. That's just brilliant. Love it.
And actually, he does. Let's say hello to Java Bean, and let's say hello to Mrs. Java Bean. Hello, lovely. But Michael does. Java Bean does a fantastic Tom Baker impression.
Does he?
I've seen it.
We need him on the show.
He did provide us with a video once. Very talented people out there, aren't they, Shah?
Oh yeah, I mean you see some of them, and some of them you think, okay, but some of them you think, you know what, you put so much effort into that, why not?
Absolutely.
They did look great. Ian was moaning, but that's typical, isn't it? But some of them honestly did look so great.
You know what?
And I love seeing the gender swaps on all of them. I know it's not something that should be a thing, but you know when people actually make their own sort of own one. I saw a steampunk Doctor that was very much based on Paul McGann's, but you know, it was sort of feminized a little bit. And
I've seen those. Those are fun. They're creative and they're inventive, aren't they?
I met one that had everything on. You know, like the Master in the last one.
Yeah.
She had everything on. She had exactly what the Master was wearing. All the costumes. It was quite cool. Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder why we closed the mental asylums. I really do.
You're not not that kind of dressing up, are you, Jason?
Wendy adds the cons are so much fun for cosplayers and cosplayer admirers, cosplayer fanciers, a bit like pigeon fanciers, are they? Which seem to be more in the spirit of just celebrating the fun of being a fan, which is, as you say, JT, it's kind of, that's the stock trade of Doctor Who as a legacy of something that's had this fandom and been holding conventions for 30, 40 years, 45 years since the very first ones. It's evolved. I think that's very much the bedrock of it all. It doesn't. I'm happy for people to go and meet whoever. And seriously, people should pay what they want, what they can afford, and what they to have the experience they want. But
what I think is really strange about this is, again, going back to those conventions in the 70s and 80s that we were just talking about. In those days, everybody got I'm going to correct that. A lot of people got dressed up then, as often Peter Davison, Tom Baker, in fact, all of the first 5 or even 6 Doctors at that point by the mid 80s, everybody got dressed up. But the difference is, back in those days, firstly, it wasn't called cosplay.
No.
And secondly, it was actually sort of frowned upon to an extent. People would be like, oh, God, look at them in those awful homemade costumes.
It was, I remember.
Whereas now, it's absolutely celebrated. It's really bizarre how it's completely switched. They were all seen as the absolute weirdos in the 70s and 80s that you avoided if they were dressed up as the Doctor.
But you know,
I'm staying with that. Absolutely staying with that, Simon.
It is
my niece is dressed up. They dressed up like people from anime. I didn't even know who they were. But the second day, little Jamie, my niece, dressed up like Stan from South Park. And so she was milling around. My other nieces were people were taking photographs of them. No one wanted to take a photograph of Jamie. And on the Sunday when I was with her, we're coming towards the end of it, and someone literally came up to her and said, "You're Stan, aren't you? Can I get a picture?" And it made her day. It made her day. Do you know what I mean? So I understand cosplay now more so than ever because of
what's happened. Simon's absolutely right, but what's happened since then, and especially in those years when Doctor Who was off air, and you had all these other alleged sci-fi things like Star, whatever it is, and Battlestar, whatever it is, and all that nonsense. No. What happened there, of course, is that the studios realised the potential of free publicity.
Yeah.
And they encouraged it, especially the Star Wars lot and all this. They encouraged the fans to do it. And it's got to that point now, and obviously it's all emanated from America, like most stuff does, where it's so big. But the various studios love it all because it's publicizing their show and they're not paying anybody to do it. It's a gift to them, isn't it?
It is, because when we were there, they were advertising Willow and other shows. They had this big screen up and they were showing you trailers of different things that were happening. They had I can't remember hanging up. There were some show that they had hanging up on the ceiling and stuff like that. So you're right, JT. It's all about that, really.
Well, the 90s, that's where it blew up. Because I remember working at one of them in the 90s, and I can't remember where it was now, and being generally freaked out because there were about 12 Klingon people around me. And I was like, that is just weird. You should all be locked up. But I'm going to stay with that tradition of looking at people with a dodgy eye when I see them in a character. I'm just going to go,
hold the line, JT.
It's nice to shooty at the Scottish BAFTAs recently. You're going to see a weirdo coming up at you. How are you going to deal with it? That's me.
How you like sort of
which one's the weirdo?
I'll be like,
I think you should definitely hold the line, but the way I look at it, people should do and celebrate their fandom, however they wish to, whatever gives them fulfillment.
we're
of
old
course,
school. They're new people.
we are
out
old
there.
school, but
Yeah.
they do that for the same reason that we do all of this, all for the love of Doctor Who. That's why we get together and ramble and rattle on about this for hours on end with our friends over there on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you to everybody who's been commenting along so far. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what's going down next. And when and why what's going on. I tell you what's going on now. It's that time, Ian. It's time to to point Percy.
Would you stop that?
It's time, everybody, to shake the weasel. It's time for the Type 40 ad break. Golden moments for your golden moment coming up when we go back through the history of Doctor Who personalities and their appearance when they've been flogging their wares or other people's wares on television through the decade. So check out this Type 40 live ad break. We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes. Wee.
Stop it.
Wee.
This is a great drop of coca-leaky, Hamish. Aye. She was a fine wee bird, was her. It's the best soup I've ever tasted. Aye. She never let us down, even to this day. I miss the eggs, though.
What Hamish doesn't know is that his wife uses Knorr stock cubes. Simply pour boiling water over a chicken stock cube and you have a delicious meaty base for cock-a-leaky soup without the bones.
Oh, it's how she would have wanted it. Aye, I suppose.
Knorr stock cubes. Good soup and no bones about it.
Will Doctor Who skate this time? Buy Wool's new shape Skyray with double flavors of raspberry and orange. And you get a free color picture card, one of a series showing Doctor Who and the Space Raiders battling with Daleks. Free when you buy Wool's new shape Skyray. Only 6 months.
A word of advice. Plan for the future, and you'll be ready for anything.
Of course, I hear you say. It's easy for him. He's a Time Lord. He's been there often enough. Well, let me tell you something. You don't need a Gallifreyan time capsule or even a sonic screwdriver to shape the future. The answer the whole universe has been seeking for centuries is at the end of a telephone line. New Zealand Superannuation Services. Yes, I knew you'd be surprised. Oh, they're arriving. Oh, yes.
We love you! Give us a cuddle!
Oh, I couldn't wear this. It's far too revealing.
Yes. Cut it off. Cut it all off.
I tell you what, love. Let's ask your mother around this weekend. We haven't seen her in ages.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Peace and love!
Golden moment after golden moment here on Type 40 Live with us. And yeah, I want to also say thank you to our friend Derek Brady for sending in this picture of the time that he met Peter. I don't think he met him on his way to or from the toilet. I actually think he went there to purposefully meet him and get something signed there. He was at a convention not far from where Derek lives, and took this lovely snap here of him meeting the 5th Doctor, but wearing the 7th Doctor's jumper. I hope that went down okay, Derek. Thanks for the photo. Good to see you out there having fun and meeting the Doctor Who legends. For more memories that you'll treasure, just like our Shah did when she went and met her doctors.
They do like their brothers on that photo. They could actually be brothers in that. That's fantastic.
And you know what, Simon? That one as well was one of the smaller traditional local ones run by one of the shops, I think, or something like that.
What was Simon?
How lovely they are.
Is that like recent? Is this a recent photo?
Last week.
Last week.
Oh, last week.
Yeah, a few days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They are there. The smaller ones are there. But as I've said before, if we ever do one, we won't invite anybody because they'll want money. And we'll just do somewhere all the fans come together and all the space bookers are together and we'll have fun. We don't need...
I'm intrigued about that. We need more information about that. I'm intrigued about where that was.
We do, Derek, yeah.
Was it Southport, Derek? Southport, Stockport, somewhere like that?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Stockport. Get in touch, Derek. We'd love to know some more, but we're glad you got to meet Peter.
We need more photos, don't we? We want more photos.
He's a nice guy, Peter.
Yeah. In fact, whoever you meet out there, whether you go and meet them at a convention or you bump into them at Greg's, send us a picture. Let us know your stories here in the comments.
Don't laugh about it. My God, no Greg's.
Everyone likes a pasty now and again. I'm sure that Sylvester McCoy now and again, he cheese and onion.
Sausage roll, mate.
He'd definitely go for the sausage roll, wouldn't he? Definitely go for the sausage. From one.
Sorry.
What's she talking about? What are you saying?
I am yet to see a Greg's in London. I moved about a month ago.
Are you blind?
You're living in the wrong place.
This is terrible news. Okay, from one golden moment to yet another, we keep spoiling you here at Type 40 Live. In fact, we're stocked with page after page of sheer Doctor Who gold. It can be found by the dozen, by the 100 in this book, this never-ending book that we can dip into on our Type 40 live streams, courtesy of the man. Yes, he's back, and so is the Doctor Who Diary.
Yes, welcome back to the diary. Time to spin back through the decades and look at what was going on in this week in years gone by.
Marvelous.
You might have been tuning into any one of 18 new episodes in years gone by. You might have been following the exploits of the Daleks, because in 1964 we had the Dalek invasion of Earth. In 66 we were enjoying the power of the Daleks this week in years gone by. You might have been watching the Cybermen, because they were on in 68 in the invasion, and again in 88, 20 years later, in Silver Nemesis. Or you might have been tuning into the Master, because you would have caught the Master in the Ultimate Foe, also known as Trial of a Time Lord Part 13 in 86. And of course, Anthony Amy back again 3 years later in Survival in 1989, just as the old show was bowing out. There's no time to talk about any of those this week, even though they were going back about in years gone by, because instead we're spinning the time rotor back to 1965. Now, I said a few weeks ago, it was about time we talked about the Daleks Master Plan, and the day has finally dawned. We are talking about the Daleks Master Plan because 57 years ago this week, episode 4 specifically of the Daleks Master Plan was on. As you can see from the Radio Times there, also known as the Traitors. In those days, of course, they didn't have episode numbers, they just had titles. No. So we're actually talking about the Traitors, which, as I say, was screening 57 years ago this week. Now, this came, Dalek's Master Plan came sort of halfway through the 3rd season. And despite whatever anybody says about the Trial of a Time Lord, as far as I'm concerned, it's still the longest ever story, because it was one continuous story as opposed to... Sadly, of course, only episodes 2 and 5 and 10 of this story now exist. So the episode that we're talking about, the Traitors, unfortunately, is long lost in the vortex. But interestingly, there is one clip from episode 4 that does exist, and it's the famous one that everybody knows, because it's the moment when Katerina sacrifices herself at the hands of Kirkson and gets sucked out into the through the airlock, and so there we go. That's the moment, and so that sequence is from the Traitors episode 4 that we're talking about. And sadly, really, this story is all that we've got of Katerina. That there's very little video footage left of Katerina. The reason we've got this particular clip is because in 1973, this episode was loaned to the Blue Peter,
like an orgy.
And never made its way back to the archive. Still, we don't know what happened to it. It vanished on the way back to the archive, and so there's a possibility that it might have got lifted by somebody. So I still secretly think, I seriously do, I still think this episode could well be in the hands of a private collector out there.
This is one of those that could be in a shed,
or it could be in the wrong tin.
Say again, JT.
It could be in the wrong tin. Remember, Simon, at that point they were just putting stuff in different canisters, weren't they? Remember?
We've all done that.
This is one of those rare episodes I actually think might at some point come to see the light of day. I think there's a real possibility.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think so. Of course, as I say, poor old Katerina gets killed off minutes into.
It's quite a visceral moment as well, isn't it? I've seen that clip that exists, and it is a little chilling.
It's really quite creepy, and I mean, in keeping with sort of unceremoniously killing off your companion within minutes, this episode is something of a brutal, unremittingly grim affair, to be honest. There's lots of double crossing, evil machinations, cold-blooded killing, and the cliffhanger, spoiler alert, sees Sarah Kingdom demanding the Doctor and his friends to be shot on sight in the head. So
in the head.
It's all pretty grim stuff, to be honest. This stuff in the Daleks master plan. It's a reasonably unpleasant episode, and certainly the first half of the episode. The first half of the Daleks master plan is pretty grim and unforgiving. Written by Terry Nation, and it's very much sort of James Bond in space. The first half of the Daleks master plan is very much James Bond in space, and then Dennis Spooner comes in and writes the last half of the Daleks master plan, and somehow it turns into this cheesy run-around romp through volcanic planets, ancient Egypt, and the oval cricket ground. I kid you not. What happened? Who knows? But 57 years ago, we were watching the Daleks master plan. Well,
Crumpling the Balloon has a theory here. He just says, "Give it back, Mr. Purvis."
He's saving it.
He may have it stashed away somewhere there. Nothing there. Who knows? Who knows?
Peter will want the dosh. Good for him.
Moving on. So they've just mentioned Dennis Spooner there as having written the last half of the Daleks master plan, because Terry Nation, I can't remember whether he's too busy. I think he just hadn't got enough time to do it, because originally the Daleks master plan would have been only 6 episodes, and then it was requested by the sixth floor.
Another episode and another one and another one. Just
they wanted 12 episodes of it. So Dennis Spooner was drafted in to write the latter half of the Daleks master plan, which is a remarkable coincidence, because this very day we would be celebrating Dennis Spooner's 90th birthday. Happy birthday for today, Dennis Spooner. Bless you wherever you are.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Where do I know that name from then? What has he done, Dennis
I'll
Spooner?
tell you where you know the name from, Ian. You will know him from all manner of things. Sadly, as I say, he died in 1986, age 53. Only 53, but he wrote an enormous amount of stuff. Okay, here we go. Firstly, he wrote the Reign of Terror, as you can see on the photograph there. These are all Doctor Who stories that he wrote. The Romans, The Time Meddler, Daleks Master Plan, and he also contributed to parts of The Power of the Daleks. He also worked on a script editor on the show for 2 years, script editing things like The Crusade, The Romans, The Web Planet, The Space Museum, The Chase, The Rescue, so much stuff. But you're going to know him probably, Ian, because he was actually one of the most prolific writers for 60s television. He contributed to just about everything genre at the time. Stingray and Thunderbirds with Jerry Anderson. He worked on The Avengers, on Doomwatch, Bergerac, The Professionals.
Right, yeah.
And you've got Randall and Hopkirk deceased there.
Yes.
He helped create Randall and Hopkirk deceased.
That's the big one. That's the one I was associate with him, Ian, because it's Simon's right. That Dalek, that long Dalek story, even though not much of it exists, you can see even in the material that does, there was a change to reflect Spooner's own sort of sensibilities. You get that in his Doctor Who stories as well, and that blend of adventure. I'm going to use adventure, not run around. That's not fair. But that blend of adventure and whimsy is very much in line with the tone of Randall Hopkirk deceased, which, as you said, Simon, was not his baby as such, but something that he had a major hand.
And also, he had a major hand in creating the Baron and the Champions and Jason King, all these for ITC. So he was a massive.
Yeah, they were great.
player.
They were great. Especially Randall Hopkirk, which the Americans called My Friend the Ghost for some reason. They changed the title. It's really weird.
He's one of those writers that I think actually sort of it falls by the wayside in the face of people like Robert Holmes, who we sort of revere. And it's only when you actually sort of put a roll call together of the stuff that he did that you realise, oh, actually, he was a pretty big player, but he just doesn't get the recognition that he maybe deserves simply because he just didn't do the kind of big players that he simply wasn't as well known as people like Robert Holmes or Terry Nation. He didn't get the publicity.
Well, he never came back after his time either, did they? I mean, he went on to create and write with all those big shows, but they never brought him back into Doctor Who, which it's always been a missed opportunity. That wasn't it? It's one of those what ifs.
I agree, absolutely. He started it on Coronation Street. We talked about Coronation Street earlier on. That was his debut. That was his first work. Was on Coronation Street. And get this, in his early life, he was actually a professional footballer, and then he was a stand-up comedian. And it was working as a stand-up comedian that he started writing gags, and that was what eventually led him into doing humorous sort of adventure series. And that's why, as you say, Dan, a lot of his stuff has a very light-hearted touch, because he actually worked as a stand-up comedian for a while.
I was going to say, can you imagine what he would have made with a script with Tom?
Absolutely. Can you imagine? Season 17, for example.
He passed away in 1986, and at that point, he hadn't worked on the show for a very long time, had he? I suppose he was off doing other things. Like you say, we had a successful long career.
He had a very, very successful career, and he's one of those people that you'll know loads of stuff that he's done without necessarily knowing.
You see his name on the titles all the time, don't you? The ITC stuff,
all that stuff, brilliant.
And as I say, died long before his time. At only 53, bless him. So, and he would have been 90 today. So we wish you a very, very, very happy birthday, Dennis Spooner.
Happy birthday.
And sadly, somebody else who is no longer with us and would have been 80, and that's Michael Craze, who played Ben Jackson famously in Doctor Who. Michael Francis Craze, to give him his full title. He played Ben in 2 seasons, covering 9 stories and 37 episodes, from the War Machines to the Faceless Ones. Apparently, he was paid the princely sum of £52 per episode back in those days, in the mid-60s, when he was in Doctor Who. And he was born in 1942 in Newquay, Cornwall, and started acting at 12 in a Boy Scout gang show. And that actually led to his first professional work in The King and I at Drury Lane. And when he was 20, he wrote, directed, and acted in a film called The Golden Head, which won awards.
20?
Yeah.
20?
Yeah, absolutely. And it won awards.
I know so little about Michael Craze.
£52 was a lot of money in those days, though.
Oh, a huge amount, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of those people, again, that kind of falls into the background a little bit, partially because again, he died so young, before the days of all of the DVDs with commentaries and interviews and so on and so forth, and so he missed all that sort of that publicity that he might have otherwise got. One of the stories that I just absolutely love about Michael Craze is that he met his wife Edwina, who actually she survived him. They were still together on the day that he died. And they met on the set of Doctor Who, filming the 10th Planet. She was the production assistant, and they met and fell in love on the set of the 10th Planet. And they had a son together who they named Ben, after Michael's character in the show. Isn't that just beautiful?
Wonderful, yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
It's really lovely when you hear stories like that. Obviously, I know there's as David and Georgia Tennant. But I also think of, because Tom Baker's also married to somebody that he met on Doctor. I know he'd done that before as well, but he's married to somebody who was on the staff, isn't he?
That's
even
right.
now.
That's right.
Eric Saywood married somebody from the staff of Doctor Who too, didn't he?
Absolutely. But I think it's just lovely that he had a son named Ben. He also had a brother, Peter Craze, who, of course, was also in Doctor Who on a number of occasions, including Daniel Favourite. He plays Costa in Nightmare of Eden.
Does he really?
That is Michael Craze's brother. Michael, I mean, it's odd, because as you say, Dan, you don't know a lot about Michael Craze. And again, you'll have seen him in so much stuff. The television, again, that he did Z-Cars, Dick Emery Show, Diary of Anne Frank, Crown Court. He was in all of these.
Crown Court.
I saw him on Talking Pictures TV several years ago in one of these sort of Gideon's Yard, these like detective shows from the early 60s where he played like a 15-year-old kid who was getting a clip around the ear roll because he'd been scrumping or something like that. But as an actor and as a character, I've always really liked Ben, and yet I've seen really rather little of his stuff compared to most of the others, but it's just a nice character, and he fills it out well. I mean, Anika Wills did the same with Polly, really, but I don't know, I suppose because she's still around, because obviously she's done Big Finish and she's very present, it's different. I feel like I know her a little bit more, and I always forget about Ben.
There is so little of his stuff that survives. Same as with Anika Wills, so little of his stuff that survives. But I must be honest, I always think they're both a joy to watch. I think they work very well together. I think they get a bit of a rum deal because, of course, they're both unceremoniously dumped in the faceless ones. There is no other word for it. They are dumped. It's absolutely shameful.
That's what happened, though, wasn't it? I mean, the same thing happened to Dodo.
Yeah, same thing happened.
With them,
Sam, I've got a comment here, Simon, from Sam in the live chat, who says, I met Michael Craze at a Doctor Who magazine event just a couple of weeks before he died. Always liked Ben and Polly.
I was lucky enough to meet him about a year before he died at a old Dwas local group meeting, and he came along to that. He rocked up at that, and we just sat in the pub, and he bought me a pint of cider, and we just sat in the
Always
pub.
happens.
Again, going back to the days when the actors would go out because they weren't, and he didn't get paid a penny. Exactly. And of course, he ended up running a pub. This was the thing. He left acting in 74 and began to run a pub in Shepperton, and did that pretty much till the day he died. Interestingly, he did return to Doctor Who very, very briefly in 1992. He recorded, they filmed Links for the 10th Planet at Longleat, at the Longleat exhibition. But they've never been released. They've never seen the light of day. So surely at some point those will come out on the Blu-ray box set eventually.
Do we know if they filmed them in character as Ben? Because some did and some didn't, did they?
I don't think he did. I think it was two camera as Michael.
As Michael.
I'm sure it was.
Apparently, I understand that they sort of filmed a little introduction from him explaining why episode 4 is missing, and then they did another one explain as though episode 4 was there, in the hope they found episode 4 by that point.
Oh, I see.
But apparently, I think they also filmed a whole narration sequence by him for episode 4 in the Longleat exhibition. So that would be wonderful. Let's just hope that sees the light.
They must have to dust that off and put it on.
That's got to be found. That's got to be found.
Yeah.
And that was the last thing, obviously, that he did for Doctor Who. Sadly, he died of a heart attack in December 1998. So just a week after his 56th birthday. So that'll be 24 years ago. Next week, sadly, he left us.
Another young one.
It's really sad. He'd fallen down some steps the previous days, get this, while picking up the neighbour's paper for her. And because he had a heart condition, they couldn't operate. And sadly, that was the end of Michael Craze. And it's a tragedy. He was a lovely, as I say, the fact that I could just sit there in a pub with him, having a pint of cider. He was a top bloke. He was very, very down to earth. There was no sides to him at all. And the one thing that I'll finish on with dear old Michael Craze is that Little Britain commemorated him remarkably, because David Walliams, as we know, are Doctor Who fans. And so in one of the episodes, there is a theatrical agent called Sir Michael Craze, and it's named specifically after Michael Craze. So he would have been 80 this week. So wherever you are, Michael, we absolutely salute you and wish you were still around.
And how many pages?
There you go. You've obviously seen the episode.
Oh yeah, I know that. It was a nice touch that as well, wasn't it? It was lovely. When I saw that and heard that, I thought, can't be. And of course, it turned out it was lovely.
Exactly. And just because it's let's be truthful here. Ben and Polly are both kind of footnotes in the history of Doctor Who, simply because there is so little of their stuff out there. So to name a character so specifically after a Doctor Who companion, brilliant.
Well,
so
yeah,
happy birthday, Michael Craze, wherever you are.
Happy birthday, Michael Craze. We're going to move on now, but thanks for putting the diary together, Simon. That was absolutely wonderful. It's great to have you back, and always very nourishing to take in the glow from the pages, the golden pages of the golden tome.
It's anywhere else.
You don't.
No, you don't.
So what are they going to do, Simon? What have they got to do?
They've got to like and they've got to subscribe.
Right.
Now.
Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Click the buttons. Click the buttons. Like and subscribe.
I don't know.
The new Dalek design. Definitely.
I love that.
That should be the new Dalek design.
Genius.
It's a winner. It's an absolute winner, I think, Ian. Yeah. So do as they say. Otherwise, we may well send those Daleks around in the small area. Just like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the close the bell. Pop us a comment about all of that and all of this that we've got coming up too. What we're going to get stuck into now. Yes, this is something that's been in the news lately. Let's go and see what's... Yeah, okay, we've got people in the comment section, see what's going on here. TARDIS Spider says that Doctor Who ran for 40 plus years and there is so much to learn and enjoy. Well done, Simon. Doctor Who Diary is always a highlight. Oh, thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Glad you enjoy it.
Yucky Recorder from Yucky Recorder.
Blasphemy! Won't have it.
Terrible, absolutely terrible. And
they're not Daleks.
Daleks are hilarious. Says
they're hooligans.
Just in case the BBC.
They're not Daleks.
They're not Daleks.
They are hilarious. Right. They are hilarious.
They're not Daleks.
Yeah. We do know their keeper, so yeah. Any word against those Daleks, we could well have them. We could well have them deployed in your general direction. So the next thing I wanted to get into is very much in the spirit of one Doctor Who icon connecting with another who share the same character. So this is dedicated to the memory of the late, great Roy Castle, who passed away in 1994. Obviously, he was one of the stars of Doctor Who and the Daleks, that first Doctor Who movie from 1965, where he played Ian Chesterton. But he was the long-standing host of the BBC children's series Record Breakers. Do you remember that one? Remember he did 1 million taps or something like that?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Remember
with Bonnie?
Bonnie Langford was involved.
Bonnie was there with him,
I met him in Arden Hobbs. He was signing his book.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't have to pay, just sign.
I bet he was a lovely bloke, wasn't he?
He's really, really nice. Yeah, he was really nice guy. He really was. Yeah.
He's met them all, that Ian David is. So
not all of them.
I'd like to think that Roy would very much approve of where we're going next and what we're going to talk about next, because there is the thing is with Doctor Who, as our friend in the chat was just explaining, when something has been going for so long, all these cultural touchdowns, all these moments that have sort of lit up our childhoods and stayed with us. For as much as we love to make lists about them, we also like to clock their achievements. And this very week, one has been acknowledged, awarded, granted, whatever you want to call it, however you want to describe it, because this actually broke. I think fans have been talking about this for a few weeks, but this week it has been confirmed by those people with the clipboards and whatever else that one Doctor Who cast member has achieved something remarkable on the eve of the series' 60th anniversary. Veteran actor William Russell, who obviously originated the character of Ian Chesterton there that Roy Castle played in the movie, but William Russell he's earned his place in the Guinness World Records listings, following appearing again back in that role that he'd originated in 1963, opposite, obviously, the proper first Doctor, William Hartnell. Ian Chesterton, he was back playing it in The Power of the Doctor a month or so ago as of time of recording. Now, William Russell, he's just celebrated his own 98th birthday.
Wow.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? And then
Happy
he was
birthday.
on screen with a line. He wasn't just moving furniture. He was speaking lines. He was interacting. He was Ian Chesterton once again. So this is extraordinary. So he's got the world record now, Simon, for the longest gap between TV appearances of an actor playing one television character, specifically for going back to the character of Ian Chesterton. So I can barely what's the word I'm looking for? Imagine I can barely imagine how it must feel for this actor to have been involved in something so early in his career and to see it grow, to flourish, become a phenomena, become not just a TV legend, but something that brings so many people together from all over the world. That's one thing. But to know, I suppose you would see something like that happen from a distance, and to see it go off into the distance and almost think that it had left you behind. But then to come back to it and to take up that part again for however a length of time, and in your late 90s as well. This is an extraordinary story, I feel, Simon, and the kind of story maybe that only a show like Doctor Who can tell.
Yeah. And what's really bizarre is, I mean, on the one hand, that's a really kind of tenuous sort of record that he's broken. But on the other hand, it's a brilliant record. It's so, I love the fact that that's the record that he's broken. I mean, all credit to him. What an absolute legend. What a gentleman.
I had wondered, JT, if it hadn't have been created in his honour, simply to acknowledge such a momentous thing. But no, it was held before William took the record. It was held by an actor called Philip Lowry, who played Dennis Tanner on Coronation Street.
And Tanner,
a gap of 43 years there.
Yeah, of course he did. He would come out. I mean, just to point out though that it wouldn't have been a record had Nathan Turner got his way and brought him back in Mordred Undead, because that was the plan, of course, to bring Ian Chesterton back into Mordred Undead, which was then taken, of course, by Nick as the Brigadier, because William was working. He was always brilliantly busy. And just to let you know, of course, if you watch The Great Escape, he's in that. He's in The Great Escape. I love watching that film. So if it's on this Christmas, watch it.
In The Great Escape, he's in Superman the movie as well.
He's in there, as well as the Kryptonians, and he's a lovely fella. I just when I realised this, I just thought to myself, well, what a shame it was in an era that nobody was watching, basically. I mean, but they'll give Guinness World Records away for all sorts. I mean, some people have them for the amount of collections, Doctor Who collections they've got. To be fair, I wouldn't let them come in here and count, please. Honestly, they'd be in here for weeks because there's all the stuff through there as well. Please, collections, please. But I just think, well, it's a nice little thing. But I think it's a case of whatever.
He's in the World Book Records, and that's good enough for me.
I don't think he would have done it for that. I don't think they would have done it. I mean, the whole thing about that is that they brought Ian into it because he was available, obviously. But also because that was supposed to be the centenary of the BBC, wasn't it? Yes. And there's William there as Ian from 63 from the that's why that whole thing there was brought in with the companions. But it is a nice little thing for him, and if he's been told about it, which I hope he has, I hope he's got a little smile on his face.
I don't know what happens when you break a record. You get some
certificate, don't you?
I don't think it was one of those cynical things where it's to say, oh, wouldn't this be great for publicity? We can bring this actor back. He'll get this Guinness World Record Award. It'll boost that. I don't think it was considered at all. I mean, for starters, it was filmed over a year ago. No. And obviously, given the fact that production team could barely manage to get the show out, than to think of to think. And I know that sounds really bitchy, but it's also fucking true.
It's true.
But you know, this is just a happy accident, really, and it's so right that it happened to that actor. And I think we're very lucky to still have him, Simon. And in some ways, it's almost criminal that it's taken this long for William Russell to appear in the show again, and not as Ian or as somebody else, because he's a great character actor.
He's always been working, Dan. He's been very busy working. I mean, you just mentioned Coronation Street there. He was in that for a good long run. But he's done lots of theatre. He's done lots of film. I mean, as I say, in 1982, when John approached him to do Mordrin, he was working. He couldn't do it. Yeah, and he's never stopped. And he's had a wonderful career. And of course, his kids have had wonderful careers. I mean, wonderful. Just fabulous.
Sorry, can I ask a quick question? Because so this is about the character coming back, because I know that he made a cameo in An Adventure in Space and Time, very, very brief.
That's not Doctor Who, Shah. That's not Doctor Who.
Oh, so it has to be the show and the character.
No, it's Doctor Who.
I just wanted to get that right.
So, unfortunately, the Guinness Book of Records has now just cemented the Whittaker era as Doctor Who, which goes against my beliefs slightly. But
it actually, that scene made me feel sad, you know, when I watched that.
I've never seen it.
It really made me feel sad. It really did. Looking at everybody aged, you know, they've all aged and stuff like that. And
it happened to everybody except me, because I'm up there with Cher, of course.
What about me?
Well, no, it's creeping up on you already. You can tell that from here.
You can tell, yeah, you can tell.
Echoes, I tell you, but yeah.
But yeah, what you call it? He does deserve recognition. You know, and he's a good actor, and as JT says, he's always working, and they're lucky to have him for that little scene anyway. So you know,
it's nice that he's still doing the odd convention at his lovely age now. I mean, he was at one recently, wasn't he, where he got a standing ovation? I mean, the one I met him at, I can't remember what year that was. I can't remember if it was the 40th or the 30th or the whatever, the 25th. I don't know. But he was very nice then, very articulate, and again, very sort of, oh, here's my audience. Let's get to know them. And that was very generous of him, because he gave up a lot of time to sign books and whatever we were throwing at him. You know, he was lovely. And then there was a little drinky in the bar later. But yeah, it was. It must have been a nice surprise for him, because as we say, nobody would have known about that except the geeks at the Guinness Book of Records who were going, oh, hang on a minute, let's just calculate that. You've just beat the Corrie record. But yeah, wonderful.
Ian was a good man. Travelling with the Doctor made him great. Simon will be back in a moment. Don't worry about it. Ian was a good man. Travelling with the Doctor made him great. Says TARDIS Spider there. Youth is on your side, Dan. Thanks, Timescales. I use a really good moisturiser. Story says, I know what you mean, Dan. I've got a lump in my throat just thinking about this. I say, it's this man's face. I know it sounds. He looks.
Oh, is that from the show?
Yeah, it's from the show.
Yeah. And he's a distinguished, much loved part of the Doctor Who family. And I've heard him on audio. I've heard him in some fantastic Big Finish audios. Very much in the moment, in the past. I've always enjoyed them. But yeah, it was particularly nice to see him on screen again, wearing that name badge.
I did have a little gasp. I thought that was so lovely.
I think it's just a shame they didn't include him a little bit more. All of those companions actually in that sequence should have been 5-minute sequence. That should.
Oh yeah.
You know, but let's wonder how much of an afterthought.
For that to be with
it wasn't. It felt like an afterthought there.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been, because they wanted to celebrate the BBC's 100th, didn't they? So when they got that extra bit of time, maybe they just padded with it to say, well, this is how we can do it, by showing some of the old Doctors and showing some of the old companions. I mean, it'll come out in the wash eventually.
Yeah,
but, you never know what might happen in the future with them all, you know.
I mean,
I almost think they could have started off with that, really.
The beautiful thing about that moment, about that scene, Ian, is that you don't necessarily have to watch the other 85 minutes worth of nonsense. You just clip that scene out and enjoy that scene. That scene is sort of its own mini statement. It could make a mini-sode. of Doctor Who in the same way that they used to make minisodes of them. It sort of stands as its own little epilogue to the story, or you could say that just as equally stands as a prologue for whatever's going to come in the future. I don't know if the clip is up on the official YouTube channel yet, but I imagine it will be at some point in the future, or certainly some fan will create an edit of it. I would imagine, Shah. That's what fans do, isn't it?
It would have been nice to hear, have like a special 15-minute with them talking about the adventures they had with the Doctor, and maybe show clips and stuff like that. That would have been quite nice. But
that would have run out of episodes. I love this little badge that says Ian.
Ian, yeah. Well, it isn't a badge; it's just a slap on, isn't it? It's just a slap on there, right? Yeah.
My name is Ian, and I was based on Daleks.
Yeah.
Robert Payne says in the live chat on YouTube, him being at the end of the episode was very emotional.
I thought so.
It was lovely,
and
it's big because William Russell as an actor has always been so well associated with the show and has never shied away from his association with the show. And has been very prolific, turning up at conventions or being interviewed and so on. He's always a face that's been known, and so it's almost when he turned up in that episode, it was almost like, well, of course he's there. It's kind of, I'm amazed actually when you say that it's however many years between his previous appearance and this one. It actually surprises me because we're so used to seeing William Russell. I'm actually surprised that now you come to think of it. No, he didn't appear in the show again, which is remarkable. that he's never.
Charlotte is in the chat, and she says his eyes are still striking.
Yeah, he's still actually. He's still. You can see his younger self in there. He's still a handsome man.
Yeah.
One of my favourite TARDIS teams as well.
Absolutely, I agree, Charlotte. Definitely.
Right, obviously, lots of happy memories of watching William Russell as Ian Chesterton on the show there. But just as you said there, JT, it was far from the only character that William Russell played in movies and TV, at soaps and movies. The guy did a lot, didn't he? And even before Doctor Who, he was leading adventure shows and funny little cheap films for the Children's Film Foundation.
Outside of BBC.
There he is playing Lancelot. There, he was the lead in that show. But he was the lead in the Adventures of Lancelot before he was in Doctor Who, wasn't he, JT? So they didn't just pluck him out of the dole queue or whatever else. He was a heroic actor.
It's recorded, isn't it? That helped because they knew him because of all this work he'd done. But it was the Lancelot thing that really helped them with there's a handsome young man that's going to take this lead on. Fantastic little stories from back then in the day. Nearly 60 years as well.
It's a shame he isn't known, isn't known fully well, like say Roger Moore or something like that. So it's a shame, really.
Yeah, his film career didn't really push it as big as. I think he would have had. He could have played those sort of roles. He could have been a Bond and stuff like that. He could have done that. Maybe he just didn't want to.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
The time scale says he kind of looks like Joe Biden in that. That was obviously that's a publicity picture there from An Adventure in Space and Time, that docudrama from 2013. She played a little cameo part in this. That was a lovely moment too. He's aged wonderfully, says Paul Murray.
Look at that, 98.
Peter Harrington reminds us his intros on the Crusade DVD. Those are similar to the Michael Craze ones that you were mentioning in the diary, aren't they, Simon?
Yeah,
but William Russell did do those in character as Ian, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he did. I think it's a while since I saw those, but I think he did.
That's the sort of thing that I still think would do well for a nice little. If they get this whole Whoniverse platform up and running, this channel, bring somebody like William back to redo that and narrate those bits in character for the bits that are originally are still available to be broadcast. And that's a special episode, isn't it? Then where I don't know, Ian's sitting down having a pint or something like that and saying, "Oh, I remember when I was in the Crusades." Pardon?
Yeah.
Gary Akers, he reminds us that network DVD carry the complete adventures of Sir Lancelot on DVD. That series does exist.
Network.
You can get it. Yeah, William Russell was part of a whole scene there where numerous Doctor Who companions from the past got together, and there's a bit of a photo opportunity there, so you can see the legend stood there in his rightful place.
That's great. He travelled with the Doctor, and he was a Kryptonian as well, and he played Lancelot. I mean, what a great career! Yeah.
Sorry, Shah, what was that?
No, I just said it's interesting placement of where you put that arrow. That's all.
No idea. No, it's talking about, mate. Okay. Yes. So, an incredible thing to be the holder of that record. I can't see that being broken. I really can't. I mean, who would like to?
Sorry, I was just going to say, I'm sure he's very, very proud of that. And as you say, Dan, I think he probably knows it's unlikely it's going to get broken. And I just think he's probably probably
chuffed.
Yeah, I think he's going to be chuffed.
Yeah,
he's gonna run away with that, and I can't see. Nobody's gonna catch him, are they? But the whole Guinness World Records thing. When we were kids, the Guinness World Records thing. It wasn't just that show on the TV with Roy Castle that ran. That must have run for years and years and years, hadn't it? It was always on. It was him and Cheryl Baker and various people.
Yeah,
it was.
And there was those two twins. Those guys.
Norris McWhirter and his brother started it, didn't they, back in the day? They ran it there, and then one passed on, and then Norris passed on years later. And of course, they did the All-Star Record Breakers at Christmas. Remember that on the BBC, where all the children's BBC presenters would get together. You see, Peter Duncan, Sarah Green, and mixing with Floella Benjamin and everybody. That was always special. That was always a fun show. They don't make it like that anymore.
They don't.
JT, all of that stuff though, all of that stuff when I was a kid, I used to find that really exciting. It was like what had broken the world record for toppling dominoes, or picking out the world's biggest bogey, or something like that.
Yes. Or how many Chinese people you could get in a mini. Loved it all.
He's not joking. They would do that.
When you're looking at Ian's world there, with the whole with Mega Geeky's whole world of multi crossovers and stuff, the All-Star Record Breakers was the first to do that. Put all the kids' TV presenters in from all the TV shows on BBC television, and put them in together with Roy Castle trying to keep control of this whole mess of a show, and it was joyful. It was brilliant. They'd be talking about all these. They do sketches and stuff, but they would talk about world records all the way through, and you learnt an awful lot. You go back to school saying, "Oh, look, they got 15 Chinese people in a mini."
I do wonder, Simon, if this. I mean, this is Guinness World Records, but I think there's something. Maybe it was the tone of that show and the records that we focused on in Britain. It all seems so British and so absurd. The Guinness World Records, that was founded in 1955. So the idea, obviously, is that there's an organisation which holds responsibility for adjudicating and cataloguing record-breaking achievements, and they publish a book every year with a selection of some of those records, don't they, to make up a sort of big chunky annual that kids would get at Christmas. My stepbrother, he had that every year, and it wasn't the same records every year. They would mix it up, wouldn't they?
One of somebody in our family always got it every year. It's normally my brother. My brother was absolutely upset. I mean, is it still going? I could never understand.
It's still going. I was looking at it the other day. It's got a hologrammatic cover some years, and sometimes it's sort of vac formed. But there was two books that my stepbrother would always have: the Guinness Book of World Records, and can you guess what the other one was, JT? Every year.
The Beano.
No.
Doctor Who.
I thought he'd get it. It was the Blue Peter book.
The Blue Peter. The thing about the Guinness
badge.
Do you remember? The school library always had them every year because it was great reference material. So I think it might be terribly British, actually, because you would go in to say who knocked over the most dominoes or something like that, and you do a project around it, or how many milk bottle tops has that kid from down the road course, It was all quite camp, really.
It is still going though. I had it in my library, and then the school I worked at, the kids had that in their library as well.
In those days, there was a BBC community, wasn't there? Like as JT says, that you had the record breakers of all the presenters teaming up, and then you had something like Morecambe and Wise, who had all the TV, the newscasters would team up and TV people would team up as well, didn't they?
We've got some great records. Ian, we've got some great records in the chat. The Classic 80s fanboy, Carl, he puts up that somebody's got a Guinness World Record for the quickest roast dinner eater. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I've just got to say this as well, because Crimpling Doubloon in the chat reminded me earlier about the catchphrase dedication. That's what you need.
Dedication is what you need. Yeah.
And he sang the song.
If you want to be the best,
Roy Castle sang the song. I can hear it.
Archer Colin knows somebody who holds 2 Guinness records for archery. So he's a real archer, Colin. Wow.
Very good.
I had no idea. Peter Harrington said the world's thickest bogey was a record held by Toxteth O'Grady. My Blu-ray has just been delivered as well, Peter Harrington. That's a reference to the young ones.
Okay. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Right. And Gareth Morgan put there. There's Tony, but Gareth Morgan said Doctor Who already was in the Guinness books as the biggest book line based around the single character. He was, and also up until recently, Doctor Who magazine had the longest running comic strip.
It's funny you should say that. It's funny you should say
really?
that because
Is it really, Daniel?
Because I may have that here. So you've got a few more Doctor Who related records that have been held, or that it does hold. And you're quite right about the comic strip. So yeah, the original comic strip obviously appeared back in. Well, can you guess exactly when the comic strip first appeared? Then JT.
Oh gosh, I should know this because I've got it. I think it was TV Comic.
It was in TV Comic, yeah, and it was
1964.
It was just over a year after the series itself began, and obviously TV Comic ran for years and years and years and years, and Doctor Who joined it in issue 674 in mid-November of 1964.
Isn't that amazing? I think that TV Comic was at 674 weekly at that time. You know, crikey, they did well.
Puts it into perspective. So yeah, the comic strip does hold that record for the longest running comic strip based on a TV show, and it's run almost continuously from then until now, moving from those polystyle comics, TV Comic. Countdown and then back into TV Action, TV Comic. They had various different names, didn't they? And obviously from 1979 onwards in what we now call Doctor Who magazine, which was originally a weekly, and it's run almost continuously ever since. There was a slight break quite recently. That was quite a high profile break, but I think it still counts that it's still run all this time. So that's
it's a shame.
David Tennant's huge compared to the TARDIS in that cartoon. Look at that.
He is.
Traditional in Doctor Who magazine. When the new Doctor appears, he gets a big panel like that, usually in front of the TARDIS. They've been doing it for quite a while now.
Yeah, but he's taller than the TARDIS.
Yeah, he is.
In that shot, it's weird. Okay. Well, you can see a shadow behind. He's standing right next to it.
The director, he runs around like this with a camera, gets paid.
Slightly out of proportion. Doctor Who itself obviously holds other records. So most notably, I suppose, is the simple record for the longest running science fiction series. So it's got that officially, and with the most consecutive sci-fi TV episodes ever. So at the time of the awarding of that record, it was 871. So it's probably a lot more since then. Its closest rival was Star Trek. And when Doctor Who was given this, there were some protestations from the Star Trek community. I know Shah's there turning up her nose. I know. Ooh, horrible. But of course, Star Trek is broken down into separate series. It's not the same show. They are different programs, aren't they, Simon? With different production teams, different premises, and all. So it simply doesn't count. So Doctor Who comes out of that one.
Same costumes, same aliens.
Well, and also,
over and over again. Oh, please.
Well, and also Star Trek had massive breaks. It went off the air in, was it 1970, and didn't come back till about 1990 or something.
Yeah, but we won't go down that route because we did the same thing.
It wasn't quite as long. It wasn't quite as long a break.
I do like Star Trek, though. I like Doctor Who and I like Star Trek. I like them both.
I like Captain Kirk and Captain Janeway Star Trek, but Doctor Who's my big favourite. But the thing is, our show is supposed to be one long. I mean, it's not, but it's supposed to be the long one. I mean, the only thing it's got in common these days is the title music, the police box, and the actual name of the show. That's the only thing it's got in common with the 63 original. It's nice of the Guinness Book of Records to think of us, so thank you. We'll take it.
Isn't it? It's lovely. Richard Brooks, according to Richard Brooks, Type 40 has the record for the most kick-ass theme tune in the whole of Doctor Who podcasting.
Do we get a record for that?
It's not half bad.
Sounds like it, Shah, doesn't it? Sounds like it. Now, there are some incredible records that are held by Doctor Who and Doctor Who personalities, and even by the fan base. This is an absolute belter. So in 2016, Peter Capaldi, the Doctor himself, he accepted the Guinness World Record title for the largest gathering of people dressed as Doctor Who characters.
Wow.
He was at the La Mole Comic Con in Mexico City. Now, can you guess? So this hall, Ian, was full of Daleks and Oods and all those kind of characters. Would you like to guess, Ian, how many Doctor Who doppelgangers they managed to pile into that theatre there to claim that record?
Too many. Wow. Put them in a mini.
Would you like to guess?
It looks like thousands. I would say just over.
It was a fairly big hall, Ian.
I would say over 1,000.
Yeah,
over 1,000, maybe. Yeah.
It was a big one. We've lost Shah. Have you got any? You want to make a guess there, Simon? How many people?
1,000. I'm guessing 1,000.
Going for 1,000 as well. Shah, how many people do you think that it took to scoop this record for the largest gathering of people dressed as Doctor Who characters in Mexico City? You've asked that one before, have you?
I'm going to say, I'll go for 1,500. Oh, it's like The Price is Right, yeah.
Yeah. Higher, lower.
What do you think, JT? They're going for around 1,000.
I can't remember, but I've got it over there. Was it 1.6?
No, it wasn't. Surprisingly, you guys are off. In fact, you're quite a way. You're quite a way over. So let's get this.
Over.
It was actually 492.
Oh, is that all?
400? It looks more than that.
I was going to say 5,000 at one point. I'm glad I didn't.
492 is the winning.
There's David Williams in the back there. Look.
Winning of that, and that is yet to be beaten. Everybody, they still hold that. Now there is also a record. There is also a record held by the good people of Leicester.
What?
I know. I thought that'd make your ears prick up.
Oh, it's not COVID, is it? That's one thing we already know for.
This one actually happened in Leicester. So can you guess, right, this is the current record, the current standing record for the number of Daleks assembled in one space. This happened at the National Space Centre in Leicester in 2008. And the record still stands. Would any of you? Okay, Shah, what do you think? This is your hometown, isn't it? So how many Daleks?
2008. How old was I then? 10. No, that wasn't my guess.
10.
In this bit, it's
I remember this.
No, it's not. Isn't that big? I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go for about 200, maybe a bit less. Because it's not that big.
I remember this making the press. It was in all the papers, wasn't it?
Does it include like the girl dressed as a Dalek in the background, or just the Daleks?
They included them all.
Oh, right.
I'm guessing 42. 42.
Well, it says 89, 90. They got numbers.
Oh, are those the numbers?
They have. Yeah.
I reckon over 100.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be over 100 in that case.
It's really small.
142.
142. Be precise. 142.
Do it.
JT, do you want to try and guess? Obviously, there's no prizes.
No, I can't remember. I think about 150. Because they included everything, didn't they? Even if somebody put one of the masks on the head and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what counts as a Dalek. I mean, some of these, you gotta love the kids, haven't you? There's one kid dressed as a gold Dalek just towards the back there with holding number 10. Absolutely adorable. But believe it or not, it was just 95 Daleks there to clinch that one, and several people have tried to beat it since and fallen short.
Have you ever been to the Space Centre?
I haven't. No, is it good? Is it cool?
No, I think it's a bit rubbish with her.
Sarah
it's amazing. It's definitely working in Britain anymore, doing all this stuff. Get a job.
It's people in Leicester ain't got those sort of things, JT.
Dapol Daleks. Oh God, the Dapol Dalek. Are they in the Guinness Book of Records, please? Well, if they are, I'm selling them.
Who knows? Who knows? People are astounded, and yeah, virtually everybody's completely wrong. Most people have gone over 100, 107, 180. Lots of guesses. Good punts. You know, yeah. Dalek invasion of
Robert Payne's got the best answer though. 91 rels. Well done, Robert.
Oh.
Brilliant.
So that was in 2000. That was in 2008 in Leicester, but in 2009, Doctor Who clinched another one. Now this was also I don't know how. I think somewhat controversial, but Doctor Who was awarded the title of the most successful sci-fi series in 2009, and the award was collected by Russell T Davies. So the idea, how this was quantified, and I remember people kicking up a stink about this at the time as well, but this was quantified by combining ratings over time, DVD sales, book sales, download popularity. It was all there in the mix. And the Guinness editor-in-chief at the time was Craig Glendy, who said it is good to have a show. It is too good a show to have just the one record. So I don't know if they just invented this one for it as well. But there's Russell T Davies holding the certificate there. He accepted that in San Diego at San Diego Comic-Con in 2009, and looks somewhat surprised. I don't think that they told him that he was going to be getting that. But you could say that this is also really cynical because it's the commercial value of the show, isn't it, Simon, rather than just the cultural value and a legacy. It's how much hard cash it's made over time.
Maybe, I don't know. This just feels one step too far. This just doesn't feel very legitimate. The other ones are completely legitimate. You're either there, you know, going back to William Russell's. That's a legitimate record. This is just very spurious. It's very just how we happen to calculate it today, and we might calculate it a different way tomorrow. And who knows? Coronation Street would turn out to be that. I know. I'm not buying that one. Sorry.
I'm with you, Simon, don't you worry.
Doesn't wash with you either.
Nah.
Earlier on, we mentioned, of course, the Doctor Who comic strip. The comic strip is an integral part of the magazine, and many, like me, feel that if that comic strip isn't there, well, it simply isn't Doctor Who magazine anymore. Doctor Who magazine itself, that also holds a record. So in 2016, it was verified as the longest running TV tie-in title, having been published then continuously for 36 years. These things get verified at various intervals, and that award was specifically generated, it was timed to coincide with issue 500 of Doctor Who magazine. Obviously started out as Doctor Who Weekly there. So again, some of these things, they time them to get maximum publicity, and I suppose there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, and there's nothing that can probably catch Doctor Who now. Doctor Who is going to, well, I'd say the magazine, for a time it did look like the magazine was going to close, but in the last month or so it does seem to have had a resurgence. There is a renewed energy around it.
Don't jinx it.
Maybe. I know one issue can't change a tide around overnight, but you never know. You never know, do you? Now there was a presentation for that too, and that was attended by several of the old editors. They all got together and collected. They had to fight over this. So I don't know whose bog this one hangs up in, but there to collect this certificate was the original editor. That was Des Skin, the man who created Doctor Who Weekly, had the idea in the first place. But he was surrounded by Gary Gillett, Tom Spilsbury, the current editor Marcus Hearn. He's there too, and so was the writer Alan Barnes, he's the guy who's writing the comic strip at the moment. So they all got together there to accept that award, which I think is quite nice. The current editor is Marcus. He's the guy in the sort of checkered shirt that's the next to Des Skin, in between Des Skin and the Indian guy there from the Guinness. He's the adjudicator there doing the Norris McWhirter thing.
I know they're on a uniform now. What's going on there? That's amazing.
I was just thinking that because I think he looks like a bus conductor or something in the lime green. But they don't have, firstly, they don't have bus conductors anymore. But it's always the same. It's always the same, Shaw. When you see pictures like this, and it was the same when we were kids, because they'd always have these adjudicators, and they'd always look slightly awkward, as if to say, "How long have I going to keep this frozen expression? What is this award for again?" They've always got that same look on their faces.
Yeah, but a lot of them were also on television, which was not part of their job description. So they're all like,
very true.
They look like adjudicators. Let's be fair. So
yes, he's got probably a tape measure in his one pocket that's permanently there.
But didn't Norris used to wear a uniform?
Sure.
JT.
No, not
He
he wore the traditional blazer and
That's it, blazer.
good school tie, didn't he? Yes.
With a pocket square. I think he always had a pocket square on the go too.
Like Kirsty Thrower, yes.
They do try to be accurate, said Richard Brooks. Yeah, that accuracy is the name of the game there. They don't want to. They can't leave anything to chance. Got several comments here.
I want to know the keep
in
up.
the
Is there
chat.
any world records left?
Oh yeah, they keep creating them all the time.
How? What else? I think.
Well, as society moves on and our technology moves on, they move on, and people create things. It's the public around the world create things as well. Like like the thing there about the roast dinner things, or how many eggs you can make. The biggest pancake thing, which was one of the most, I used to think that was ridiculously funny. The biggest pancake in the world. I mean, they did that on Blue Peter years ago. They were trying the tossing of the pancakes as well. Who did it? Oh, it's bizarre.
How did you do that? Like some sort of parachute.
Well, no, they had about 6,000 girl guides and brownies and scouts all trying blah, 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 making a whole
the biggest cake in the world, all that stuff. Yeah.
We got a comment here from Will Hadcroft, who's watching along on YouTube. Hi, Will. Good to see you, mate. I haven't found the recent issue of Doctor Who magazine anywhere. I know there were some distribution problems. There were, but did it sell out because of the logo, Tennant, and Russell T Davies doing the production notes? It may have looked that way, but that wasn't actually the case, was it, JT? It was genuinely a supply problem.
It was genuinely a supply issue at all. I mean, it's great that they're getting this added thing and this myth that's going to be now curtailed for years and years and years about the fact that just because they put the new logo and Tennant back on the cover, it outsold what was going on. It wasn't. It was just down to stock issues and distribution issues. And also, if you look at it, I'll give you an example of here at where I live. WH Smith now only take 4 copies. The Tesco only takes 4 copies. They're the only 2 shops in my entire region that take them. That's 8 copies for the entire region. And there were distribution issues, so it came in a week late. And if you multiply that sort of thing, where a lot of the stockists that did take it back in its heyday don't take it anymore, subscribe, get it through a subscription, and then you'll get your copy, and you won't have to go through all that thing again. The mess there, because I think it's a good sign. I mean, I noticed that on their special edition, Tennant's back on the cover with the new logo, and they're hoping to sell that a bit more. Very clever, actually.
Next issue. I think the next issue's out probably next Thursday. It's not the Thursday.
The regulars next week, and the special edition's coming out as well. But it's just because of the issues that they had, and it was a shame for them. As I said a few weeks ago, it's a shame because it was a reboot issue. It was a relaunch issue.
And obviously, these records, just like rules, records are made to be broken, I suppose, aren't they? And Doctor Who did hold one, which it now doesn't. So in 2013, it got the Guinness World Record Award for the largest ever simultaneous broadcast. That was for the Day of the Doctor. It went out to 94 countries, Shah, and so it was named as the world's largest ever simulcast of a TV drama. So that's across 94 countries and 1,500 cinemas worldwide. But it only held it for 2 years. It was beaten by, can you guess which show beat this record originally in 2015 there, Simon? Any ideas?
Coronation Street. It's been everything else tonight.
I think it was the Bake Off.
The Bake
Off. Bake Off musical coming. Have you seen that? The Bake Off. And they're doing a musical.
It wouldn't have been Bake Off, would it? Was it Bake Off?
Oh, Bake Off's huge. Or was it Strictly? That's huge as well. What was it, Dan?
It's a good answer, but it's not right, as they used to say. It was originally in 2015. It was CSI, the crime scene investigation show, but it's now held by Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones nicked it just a year later, so that holds the current record for the largest simulcast in the world. Yeah, so maybe.
Because I thought the Queen's funeral would beat all that.
Yeah, so would I. So I thought so too.
I don't
it
know.
Probably is the Queen's funeral now.
That might go into history as well, mightn't it?
It stipulates TV drama.
Oh,
right. This record.
It was a bit of a drama when she died, let's face it.
It was a drama. Obviously, there could be more. There could be more to come. We've got another big anniversary coming up. We don't know exactly what we're going to be getting and how. We think it's going to be 3 specials. Obviously, the Disney Plus app is in the equation now as the international home of Doctor Who. But I doubt that the series is done with records. Who knows what lies in its future for the future cast members to watch. Ncuti Gatwa, he could claim a record at some point in the future. You never know, do you? You never know.
He might be able to claim the first Doctor to have a range of outfits. Who knows?
Yes.
Oh,
First Doctor to not wear a shirt.
Well, yeah. We do know from the Scottish BAFTAs, because he was quizzed about Doctor Who, of course, at the Scottish BAFTAs, and the interviewer said to him, "Right, so what are you wearing as the Doctor?" And Ncuti went, I can't tell you, but what I can tell you, quote unquote, pure amazingness.
Okay, that's even white worrying.
Never want to underplay. Never want to underplay. Got a comment from Gareth Morgan. It's coming very, very soon, isn't it? Gareth Morgan adds in the chat, the day of the Doctor beat out the Apollo moon landings, which had held the record.
What a great day that was. What a great day that was.
But back in those days, though, nobody had a telly. In our country. We didn't have anything like that.
Day of the Doctor was a great day. I remember it well.
I remember it. Yeah, I remember it. Like it was.
Kermit denies any knowledge of a talking space frog. Does he?
That's quite left field. That's the most left field comment so far tonight.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we managed to find that out, because we have been having sleepless nights about that, I have to say.
I think it's because the pubs have just closed, and so
not in Scotland. Everybody come up here. It's only 10:15. It's only just starting up here, people.
All out.
What time is it now?
We're getting. Wow, it's just wow. Wow, indeed.
Wow.
Hey, love it.
The fact that I have no idea. I think that's just the effect that Type 40 Live has on everybody. Yeah, keep the wows coming. Keep the comments coming afterwards. Let us know what you think of it all.
She can get down to Leeds and get down to Harvey next, because it's open later.
Yes, let us know what you think of it all. Get using that comment section.
Greetings, I am K9. If you have an inquiry and Siri or Alexa cannot help, maybe I can. Have you ever wondered if time travel is possible? Or what can a sonic screwdriver do? I may have the answers. Please leave your questions in the comments below.
I love it.
Like, give me for a second.
Good boy. What
isn't he gorgeous?
That window shutting down sound is fantastic.
Brilliant.
What a show. All for the love of Doctor Who. And thanks again to our mate JJ Avenue Who for all of that. And thank you, K9. You're a very, very good boy. All for the love of Doctor Who. That's why we do it, and that's why they do it. Who are they? Who are they? Well, it's the people who create the pretty pictures that we like to finish off each show with here at Type 40 Live. First of all, this one from Timeless Owen. Simon, this celebrates a black and white classic. I thought you'd probably love this. It's very moody, and it's actually, should I be showing you this before bedtime? I don't know.
Oh
my God.
Oh my, that's one of the best pieces of artwork we've used ever, I think. I love that.
Beautifully put together, isn't it?
Christ, that is amazing.
That is incredible. There's as I'm looking at it now, there's more because there's somebody standing behind. There's the moon in the Cyberman's eye. That's just all absolutely stunning.
Is that meant to be fantastic?
A movie poster there, people?
That is like a movie poster.
Yeah.
That is just
I think that's the idea. So we've got the second Doctor there stood behind the Cyberman, as you say. There's the moon.
Can't quite make it out. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it looks like him.
Yeah, no, you said, yes, you're quite right. It is. Yeah, you're quite right. It's just magnificent. That's so clever.
Well designed.
Lovely stuff. Matthew Pounder says atmospheric.
Yeah, you can feel it, can't you? You really can. It's great.
Can we just say hello to Avenue Who has just joined us in the chat?
Yay!
Avenue Who.
Hello,
Brilliant
If you've got any
stuff.
questions about the Hooligans and Avenue Who, there's your chance, people.
Lots of love for Avenue Who in the live chat here too, Avenue Who. So yes, soak up the love on us. Ooh, God, that sounds awful. Okay, you know what I mean. What else have we got in the pretty pictures pantheon? How about this? Somebody sent this in, and I thought it was something a little different, but it's your doctor actually there, Shah. You met him quite recently, but here he is. This picture's called Ready Player Who, and it's where is it? There it is. Ready Player Who, and it's by Roman Dubina, and it's the 11th Doctor there, gone into the world of Ready Player One, the Ernst Cline book and film it's based on. So there's all that sort of retro futuristic technology there. So it's a bit of everything, isn't it?
Well, he won the race, won't he? All he has to do materialise at the finish line. So you know,
I love the fact that he's entered the TARDIS into the race, and it's number 5.
Yeah.
But there you go. But
So
I love that. That's a proper illustration. It looks like is it paint? I can't see properly on this.
It does look like it's painting. Yeah,
I think it's a mixture. I think it's an actual painting that has been scanned in and augmented digitally. That's the impression that I get. But I could be wrong. So Roman, if you are watching, let us know how you achieved this, because I just thought it was full of character. I like the colours, Shah. I think Roman has got the 11th Doctor pretty much bang on. You know, the way the quiff is sort of falling across his face. And I just like the idea of the Doctor going to this world and this fictional universe, being part of Ready Player One, you know?
Yeah, I do love that film as well, so it's a great crossover for me.
Archer Collin says in the chat, and he's absolutely right, looks very much like Chris Foss artwork. You're right, Archer Collin. Very
Chris Foss. I don't know that artist.
Chris Foss he did a lot of the Isaac Asimov book covers in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah.
It's got that sort of vibe. Yeah, Archer Collin.
Oh, that's cool, says Sarah. Fantastic. Says crimpling the balloon, channeling the 9th Doctor.
Sort of artwork that you would expect to see in the annuals.
Yeah.
Lovely.
The 1950s sci-fi novel cover, all that stuff. Because Doctor Who, I think, all the Target book covers in the 70s, they've got their own sort of niche, hadn't they? But other ones, the covers that came later, other artists, I think they did sort of lean into that kind of painted, classic look of pulpy sci-fi, sort of melded the two styles. And some artists, obviously, we've spoken about this artist several times too. We're going to finish off with the latest from Oliver Arkenstall Jones. Oliver, he creates a lot of posters, obviously, doesn't he? Movie posters, Doctor Who stories done as Italian horror films and things like that. But he also does these little tributes here to a line of merchandise that certainly I collected back in the 90s. And here he's done it again by looking at what he's done is he's taken a Paul McGann BBC book called The Body Snatchers, reimagined it, JT, as one of the VHS range, and come up with this painting, this beautiful painting here.
Oh wow!
That's good.
And I love the way he uses the original Saigons with the Scarrison from Tom's story.
Yeah.
Nice touch.
The Body Snatchers is not a bad book. It's from the early range of the BBC novels. It's not a bad book at all. And it's a lovely picture.
He's even got the number at the bottom, BBC V 8340. Brilliant. Yeah.
Given it its own serial number there. Yes, I really like that. The fact that we've got Lightfoot, we've got the Zygons, we've got the Scarrison, and it all just looks right. I've never actually read that particular book, so I don't know who wrote that one.
I'm trying to think who wrote it. I can't remember, but it is a good book. And yes, Lightfoot obviously is in it, and it's very reminiscent of Terror of the Zygons, the original version of that. They just recreate the Zygons really, really well in it. And the Scarrison plays a big role in it. So actually, the artwork there is actually spot on to what happens in the book. It's a good book.
Yeah, Sarah says, "Oh, that's wonderful. Looks like a Hinchcliffe episode." I completely agree. There is one more. I'd forgotten about this, but I'd like to finish on it. Since as we started with it, or should I say, we started with them. So this is a painting, a digital cartoon by Nick Draws. And although we yet to see what Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor is going to wear, I think we're going, as you say, JT, we're going to find that out sooner rather than later. But Nick was clearly inspired by those promotional videos there of Millie Gibson and Ncuti Gatwa and their chemistry. And we've got this moment, an imagining of the moment where the new Doctor and his new companion there, Shah, where they enter the TARDIS together, maybe for the first time. What do you think?
That's pretty. I like it. I don't want Ncuti to wear purple though.
You don't want Ncuti to what?
To wear purple.
No, maybe not. Maybe not.
No,
but as long,
yeah.
as long as it's
Burgundy. There's burgundy. There you go.
No, I've got my heart set on yellow now.
He looks like a Quality Street, doesn't he? There on that, but
My
yeah,
favourite Quality Street as well, to be fair, apart from Strawberry.
Looks a bit Disney as well, which is it's appropriate because it looks a bit Disney. I can tell you that Mark Morris wrote the Body Snatchers. There's the BBC cover.
Mark Morris.
Yeah.
Oh, I like their logo on that as well.
Well, that was the original one.
The Pertwee logo.
Very
Well, they
nice.
changed that to a more stylized one as they went through the run. But there you go, Mark.
Well done, Mark. Yeah, I didn't actually have that one. So I do like this. I do think that the 15th Doctor would look good in that sort of roll neck turtleneck sweater.
Oh, yes,
but no,
definitely.
I think dressing him up as a Quality Street. I nearly said Coronation Street then. It's been a Coronation Street. Dressing him up as a Quality Street, maybe not. But I do like that he's captured.
No, I love it. I'm not taking that away from this bit of art. It's lovely. I really like it.
And if you look in the background there, you can just about make out some golden roundels and a time what do they call it? The column in the middle, a time rotor.
Time
There we
rotor.
are.
Oh, wouldn't it be lovely to get some golden roundels back like
Well,
that?
he looks like a Quality Street, and they got the toffee sweets inside, didn't they? Remember the toffee sweets were gold, yeah. They were little round gold things, weren't they?
Yeah.
Willy Wonka-esque, says Richard Brooks.
It's like Eddie
Millie,
Murphy.
it does.
Eddie Murphy.
Millie looks like Belle from Beauty and the
That's what I
Beast.
said, sorry.
Sarah?
That's what I mean about that whole Disney thing, yeah. Taylor's oldest time.
Oh, God.
Lots
Oh,
of
God.
people
Gorgeous.
making the Disney association, in the live chat on YouTube and Facebook. Yeah, that's the final pretty picture tonight. But thank you to everybody who's been with us on this edition of Type 40 Live. Lots more to come next time. The sights and the sounds and the splendour of Type 40 Live, JT.
Can we just have a quick mention? Keith Bradbury's in the chat. He's joined us as well. Keith Bradbury from Who NA. We've dropped an interview with Who NA,
Where are
which
you, Keith?
includes a tour of Who NA and Keith's premises there over in America. Have a look at that. It's a great show, great interview with Keith. And he's just put on there as well as a comment that he's currently packing the so-called exclusive B&M ranges that have just come into stock. So well done. I hope that's busy, Keith. How did they get to America?
I can't get them in Halzowen, but this guy can get them all the way over there.
Can I just say as well, before we disappear down the plug hole, my favourite factoid that I forgot to throw into the diary, going back to Michael Craze. Get this, going back to Michael Craze for a second.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Graham Harper wanted to cast Michael Craze as Krelper in the Caves of Androzani, and John Nathan Turner vetoed it. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can
It'd be wonderful to have Michael Craze back as Krelper.
Because he played a companion, or because he didn't like the actor?
Well, I don't know, because that doesn't make sense, because Jacqueline Hill played a companion, and yet she was invited.
That's probably why. Because John got that backlash for casting Jackie as a different. He did, and he never forgot it.
Oh, there you go. That's the answer.
It probably was, because they know you can't have a companion playing a different role, because I went through hell several years ago.
Isn't it gutting? Because he would have been brilliant as Krelper.
He would have been.
Anyway, I forgot to throw that into the diary, and I just had to share it because it blew my mind when I found out about that.
Do you think? Yeah, that could have been. That could have been quite good. I think.
Could have been good.
Well, just any chance to see some of the old actors back. I think that's harmless. All a bit of fun. All a bit of a laugh. Talking about fun and a bit of a laugh. What a great show we've had tonight here on Type 40 Live. It wouldn't have been the same without you guys and girls over in the live chat. Let's have one last look at the comments section. Lovely, says the time scales. It is lovely. We are lovely. I completely agree. Keith is packing. This is Peter Harrington.
Oh, yes, he's packing the alleged B&M exclusives.
Oh, that kind of packing. I thought, well, I don't know. You know these things.
I didn't want to say anything. I'll leave that.
It's a pity that the Doctor Who Boris Karloff radio show never happened, says Gareth Morgan. Again, we're going way off topic, but yeah, of course, it's a pity.
You are
More
right,
Doctor Who starring anybody. That would have been awesome, but particularly with Boris Karloff, I completely agree. Lovely show. Lovely show with Keith.
Don't forget, as a really oblique aside, don't forget there nearly was a Peter Cushing Doctor Who radio show. That never happened either. That was that close to happening.
We talk about that in one of our Dalek shows, actually, don't we, Dan?
We do. We get stuck. In fact, I think that's worth revisiting too. Crimpling Doubloon says, never a frown with a golden roundel.
I like that. See what he did there? I like Crimpling. That's very clever.
I know. But if you've got, all I can say is if you are at home this evening suffering with a golden roundel, you can get some ointment to put on that. And if the chemist might be closed at the moment, but yeah, best of luck. Best of luck with that. And finally, Avenue Who says, great show, but it just needed more hooligans. I know.
It did.
Great. I'm sure he'll be back to sort out, to redress that balance at some point in the future. But yeah, let us know what you think of all of this in the comments section, everything that we've gone into on this edition of the show. So the Doctor Who record breakers. What's the most obscure Doctor Who related record that you can think of? Or do you want to submit one to the Guinness people? You could do it through us. We can get in touch with them, see if we can make it happen. Are you a record breaker? Have you ever been a record holder? Have you got the dedication? I don't know. Let us know what you think of it in the comments section. There was the Doctor Who diary, of course there was, and Shah and Ian's visit there over to London's Olympia for the film and Comic Con, whatever that was, whatever was going on. Obviously, when Ian got slapped up by Iron Man, and Shah got. Oh no, I won't say that. Oh God, that was a close one. And Shah. Oh God!
It's not live.
And Shah met her heroes. Yes, that's a lot better than what I was going to say. But yeah, thanks for sharing the photos and the videos, guys. Sincerely, it looked like you had so much fun. And
well, she did.
Of course, she did. Look at her little face.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about. That's why we do it all, for the love of Doctor Who, because we like getting together and talking about it like this. We're going to be doing some more of it over the next couple of weeks. There's another show next week, and then our big Type 40 Live Christmas party that's coming the week after. A couple of us may even be sober. Don't miss that. Just a couple more weeks to run left on this season. Shah, thanks for your company. Lovely to see you again. Lovely to have you back. Hope you can make the Christmas one. That'd be a giggle.
Oh, sure. But yeah, thank you. It'll be getting very close to my birthday, though, so I can't make any promises.
Oh, well, there we are. We'll have to leave us on another cliffhanger. Ian, great to have you back, mate. And as always, JT, Simon, what a show. Brilliant stuff. Keep it coming. I hope to catch you all next week. And thank you to everybody who's watched and commented along. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. Of course we do. Have a great weekend. We'll speak to you again soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.